Chapter 9:15. Su Yiyin didn't know that someone was eyeing her husband's VIP privilege. The live broadcast venue was moved to the garden courtyard in front of the family's old house. Su Yiyin had specially asked someone to custom make the barbecue rack a few days ago. It was an improved version of the ancient earth barbecue rack recorded in books. Not only did it come with small wheels, but it could be pushed, pulled, and folded. It was also very eye-catching, bright, and multifunctional. In addition to the square stove on the top, there was also a small square stove on the bottom. It could completely satisfy the needs of barbecue skewers on the top and roast chicken and duck on the bottom. Ling Xiaoqi and the others had just entered the courtyard when they were attracted by the barbecue rack. They gathered around the rack and chattered. "Yin, what's this rack for? It's a strange shape. It looks a bit like a box. I think it looks a bit like a cage. Look, there's a net on top. But the one at the bottom looks like a box. Look, there's even a handle." Su Yiyin listened to their discussion and explained with a smile, "This is a barbecue rack. The one at the top is used to roast small things. The box at the bottom can be used to roast a whole chicken and duck." Su Yiyin originally wanted to make it bigger, like roast suckling pig and roast lamb. However, the small animals in this era were bigger than those on ancient Earth. It was really difficult to make an oven that could fit them. Therefore, Su Yiyin had no choice but to give up the idea. Even if she couldn't eat roast lamb and suckling pig, she could eat meat skewers. Su Yiyin added charcoal to the oven in front of everyone and brushed a layer of oil on the barbecue rack. Then she reopened the live broadcast and set a limit in advance to ensure that other people's faces wouldn't appear on screen. Even if someone accidentally entered the camera, a cartoon avatar would be automatically added to protect the privacy of the person on screen. Not long ago, the viewers who had just finished watching the live stream of Stewing Soup saw the originally dark screen flash. The live stream was opened again, but the background had changed from the previous kitchen to an especially large and beautiful garden. "This is a garden? The host's private garden? Oh my god, it's so big and beautiful." When I saw the host's previous live broadcasts, I already knew that the host was rich. Now that I've seen this garden, I'm once again sure that the host is really rich. Poverty limits my imagination. If I remember correctly, someone did a survey on the housing prices in City A few days ago. 1 square meter is more than 100,000 yuan. The courtyard of the streamer's house should be more than 100 square meters, right? Previous poster, you're too naive. 100,000 yuan per square meter was something that happened 2 years ago. Moreover, this price is only for ordinary buildings. You can only get it in a slightly more remote neighborhood. The host's house is obviously a private villa with its own courtyard. The price is at least 10 times higher and it's priceless. It's basically passed down from the older generation, so it's impossible to buy it. The legacy of the older generation? So, was it true that the streamer came from a hidden big family? Previously, the host changed the background once. Many things in the kitchen seemed ordinary, but every single one of them was extremely expensive. It was really low-key and luxurious. At that time, I felt that the host had a strong background. Sure enough, sob, who gave me the courage to enter this live stream. According to the previous few people, with my small salary, I can't buy a toilet in someone's house even if I work hard for hundreds of years. Oh no, I can't buy a brick in someone's house. Chapter 9:16. For a moment, the live broadcast room was flooded with comments. All kinds of rich haters, jealous and envious comments flew past like a speeding motor, blocking the screen. Some of the new fans even wondered if they had entered the wrong live broadcast room. Wasn't this a gourmet live broadcast room? Why were they showing off their wealth all of a sudden? Su Yiyin didn't expect that such a small courtyard could be turned upside down by this group of people. They could smell the scent of money. She didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Okay, let's continue our previous live broadcast. Today I've prepared a barbecue for everyone. This is the barbecue rack in front of me. The fire is already lit. Let's start with the barbecue. As Su Yiyin spoke, she placed the prepared meat skewers and seafood on the rack. The charcoal fire below was already burning. After a while, a loud sizzling sound came from the rack. The meat skewers that Su Yiyin asked her family to skewer were skewers of white meat and lean meat. When the meat was roasted, the oil from the white meat seeped onto the lean meat. Not only was it not oily, but it also whetted everyone's appetite. As time passed, the aroma of the barbecue changed qualitatively the moment Su Yiyin sprinkled the seasoning. Smoke rose in spirals, accompanied by the burnt aroma of the meat skewers and seafood, quickly pervading every corner of the courtyard. Gulp! The people who had surrounded Su Yiyan excitedly to see how Su Yiyan was going to cook the barbecue swallowed their saliva at the same time as the audience sitting in front of the screen. Their burning eyes stared at the meat skewers in Su Yiyan's hands. They couldn't wait to pounce on them and take a bite to satisfy their cravings. It's almost done. Su Yiyan glanced at the meat skewers in her hands. After confirming that they were cooked, she distributed them to the people around her. This was the first time she was trying to barbecue, so there weren't many skewers. One skewer per person was definitely not enough. The men present were very gentlemanly and gave the first skewer to the girls. Lan Jie also wanted to give his skewer to Yan Xiaoran, but just as he handed it over, Su Yiyan stopped him. Wait, it's not suitable for you to eat spicy food now. Eat these skewers. Su Yiyan said as he passed a few skewers of meat with a little salt to Yan Xiaoran. Yan Xiaoran blinked her eyes in confusion and tried to take a bite. She found that it was similar to the barbecue meat she usually ate, but there was a little more smoky charcoal and fruit aroma, and the texture was richer. Delicious. Hearing what she said, the people around her couldn't help but swallow their saliva again. However, they hadn't fallen to the point of fighting over food with a breastfeeding mother. They raised their heads and looked at Su Yiyan. Sui Yayan received the pitiful gazes of this group of people begging to be fed and could not help but laugh. It's good that it's delicious. Do you like to eat meat or vegetables? The ingredients are all here. If there's anything you want to eat, just tell me and I'll roast it for you. As soon as these words came out, everyone's eyes lit up. One by one they rolled up their sleeves and excitedly went to pick the dishes. The viewers in the live stream who had just tasted the dish were not so happy. It's really delicious, but it's also really stifling. Why am I not the streamer's friend? I also want to be a guest at the streamer's house. When I think about how I can only taste it and can't even swallow it, but they can grab a few skewers and eat them all into their stomachs, the nutrient solution in my hands suddenly doesn't taste good anymore. Does the streamer still need friends? They have hundreds of millions of assets. They can sell goods, do laundry and sweep the floor. Chapter 9:17. I want to capture a local tycoon. I also want to ask the streamer what are the requirements for making friends? Someone as fair and beautiful as me who can be both a front and an assistant, is that okay? Lan Jie looked at the large pile of messages asking to make friends on the screen. It was like a large-scale blind date scene. He suddenly understood what his sister-in-law had said before. A few days ago he was still a member of the bullet screen, shouting and trying to attract the streamer's attention and eat the food she made. Now he had become a member of the streamer's team and the target of envy and jealousy from her fans and colleagues. This feeling was really King awesome. Lan Jie, who suddenly felt a lot better, followed his sister-in-law happily to pick out vegetables with a subtle sense of superiority. Huo Chenhuan walked behind Su Yiyan, hugged her waist and asked in a low voice, "Are you hot?" "No, are you hungry?" Su Yiyan said as she looked around. After making sure that everyone's attention was not on them, she took out a few pieces of freshly grilled squid and handed them to Huo Chenhuan. "I left it especially for you. Eat it." However, she forgot that Ling Xiaoqi and the others were indeed not there, but the audience watching the live broadcast was still there. Report. The streamer used public resources for private use and secretly hid grilled squid for her husband. How can you face your friends who support and trust you? How can you face our bitter audience who can only watch but can't eat? Streamer, you're wrong. Didn't you say that you'll treat everyone equally? Why does he get special privileges? Ooh, I don't accept it. Su Yiyan looked at the screen full of abused singles complaining that she opened the back door for her husband. Just as she was about to say something to comfort them, she heard the person beside her suddenly say, "It's useless to accept it." Huo Chenhuan glanced at the dense bullet screen and confidently declared her sovereignty. "Because I'm her husband." "You're not." As soon as she finished speaking, the originally dense bullet screen suddenly became much emptier. If it were not for the fact that there were still a few sporadic comments that were only faintly passing by now, Su Yiyan would have suspected that her live streaming room was lagging. After a short silence, it was followed by a blowout. "Oh, my bad temper. Tell me, do you want to fight? Although this is the truth, why does it sound like you're asking for a beating?" Silently grinding teeth. "Draw your sword, love rival. Let's fight. The winner will be the streamer, the loser will be a lurker. Silently draw my 40-meter machete." JPG. Strictly speaking, this should be the first time Huo Chenhuan appeared in the live streaming room, but the old viewers in Su Yiyan's live streaming room seemed to be familiar with him. However, this was the first time a certain someone appeared on screen, and he attracted a lot of hatred. Su's, Fight? Why would I want to fight with you? Yin Yin was originally mine. Even if I didn't hit her, she would still be mine. If that's the case, why should I fight with you? Do you have nothing better to do? After Huo Chenhuan mocked the crowd, he still felt that it wasn't enough. He took a bite of the grilled squid that Su Yiyan had specially reserved for him and enjoyed it. It's so fragrant. Like chickens and ducks, the squid of this era was also a giant. Even if you stuffed your mouth full, you could only eat half a squid leg. The squid meat was firm and chewy. With the addition of pepper, it was hot and fragrant. It was not inferior to the pork skewers from before. Chapter 9:18. After being stimulated by Huo Chenhuan's proud and straightforward public display of affection, the audience was also stimulated by Huo Chenhuan's shameless behavior. Some poor single people were so angry that they cried on the spot. Realizing that they might not be able to win against this shameless man, many viewers tactfully brought up Su Yiyan and complained on the spot. "Host, your husband is bullying us. Are you going to do something about it? Just tell us if you are going to do something about it or not." "That's right. Host, are you just going to watch your husband bully us? Didn't we agree to be each other's little cutie forever?" Su Yiyan did not expect that the fire of war would burn her head without warning. Under the meaningful gaze of her man, she decisively abandoned the rook to save the king. She coughed softly and said, "What little cutie? Don't talk nonsense. This is my little cutie. Don't bully him." Row after row of ellipses lined up, just like the cold hearts of the audience in the live broadcast room at this moment. I can't stand this grievance. I'll turn from a fan to an anti-fan for 1 minute. Host, you've changed. You're no longer the gentle, considerate, upright, and kind host from before. It's all this dog man's fault for leading you astray. It's all this dog man's fault. When you love her, you call her sweetie or cutie. When you don't love her anymore, you abandon her and throw yourself into someone else's arms. Sure enough, the heartless people in this world are all the same. What makes the host go against her conscience and ask the victim not to bully the perpetrator? Sloth. What makes my eyes teary? It's my heart that has been abandoned by the host like a pair of worn-out shoes. The lively pop-up screen instantly turned into a large-scale drama scene. Su Yiyan was embarrassed and amused at the same time. She turned her head and met the eyes of her man, who seemed to be smiling yet not smiling. "Little cutie?" Su Yiyan's expression suddenly froze, but she quickly remembered that she was in the middle of a live broadcast. There were 7 to 8 figures of viewers in the live broadcast room staring at her. She couldn't back down. "Isn't it?" Huo Chenhuan saw the change in Su Yiyan's expression. How could he not see that she was pretending to be tough? "Yes, but..." Huo Chenhuan pointed at his own cheek. "My dear wife, won't you consider giving your little cutie a reward?" Su Yiyan was stunned, and her little face turned red from her cheeks to her neck. Because of Huo Chenhuan's words, the dense bullet screen went blank for a moment. In the next few seconds, everyone in the live stream was waiting, including Huo Chenhuan. In the end, Su Yiyan couldn't resist her man's eager gaze. With a slight blush, she leaned over and kissed Huo Chenhuan lightly. Su Yiyan, who thought that he had done it very discreetly, had underestimated the effect of the live broadcast equipment. What just happened? Did you all hear that? Or is it just my imagination? You're telling me that it's a hallucination? Dead fish eyes staring at people. JPG, so it was a kiss, right? It was a kiss, right? And it was the host who took the initiative. What's with this feeling of a cabbage taking the initiative to kiss a pig? F***, I'm going to die from anger. A well-known female host actually did this kind of thing in the live broadcast room. Is it the degeneration of human nature or the decay of morality? I used to think that I was following a food host, but I found out that I was following a health host. When I finally accepted that I was following a health host, I found out that she was a F***king crazy PDA host. Before a dog dies, no couple is innocent. Chapter 9:19. The single spectators who had been successfully abused cried out. The only thing that comforted them was that other than them, the other invited guests were also abused. When Lan Jiayer and the others returned from choosing their dishes, they found that there were 2 people in front of the grill instead of 1. More importantly, the 2 of them were feeding each other as they barbecued. They had turned the outdoor barbecue into a feeding contest, competing to see who could feed more. The crowd, who had been unexpectedly abused, was speechless. They were here to eat barbecue, not to eat dog food. But they had to admit that with Huo Chenhuan's participation, the speed of the barbecue sped up a lot. The crowd, who were already hungry from the first batch of barbecue, quickly got to eat the delicacies they had been longing for. They took their plates and quickly left the couple, who were showing off their affection as if there was no one else around. I actually ate the meat skewers that young master personally barbecued. Oh my God, am I dreaming? If this gets out, I don't know how many people will die of jealousy. Yuzian looked at the 6 or 7 meat skewers in his hand. He was in disbelief but also a little proud and complacent. Not everyone could eat the meat skewers that their young master had personally barbecued. Zui Yanbai glanced at Yuzian with disdain. You've eaten young madam's food at least 3 or 4 times before. Why are you making such a fuss? How is that the same? Young madam is young madam and young master is young master. How can you mix them up? Yuzian turned to Gu Xiaoyang and said, Xiaoyang, pinch Yanbai and see if it's true. Okay. Gu Xiaoyang was a little confused. He subconsciously reached out to pinch Zui Yanbai. Fortunately, Zui Yanbai's reaction wasn't slow. When he saw Gu Xiaoyang's outstretched hand, he retreated and avoided Gu Xiaoyang's evil claws. Wait, if you think you're dreaming, just pinch yourself. Why pinch me? It hurts to pinch myself. I'm not stupid. The veins on Zui Yanbai's forehead throbbed when he heard this. He gritted his teeth and said, It hurts to pinch you, but doesn't it hurt to pinch me? Your skin is rough and thick, so the pain will pass. Unlike me, my skin is so tender and tender. Just a bump would bruise my skin for half a month. What's more, just a pinch. Yuzian proudly showed off his fair right hand as he spoke. Zui Yanbai smiled coldly. Yes. I'm a rough-looking person. I'm 8 meters tall, 2 meters long legs and 8 packs. She can't compare to young Master Yu, who has been eating fresh flowers and drinking dew since he was young. Yuzians. And? Enough, you two. Stop arguing. Is the barbecued meat not fragrant enough, or are young master and young madam too tolerant? How dare you make trouble in young master's house? I think you're too arrogant. Gu Xiaoyang's words reminded them of their situation. They, who had been bickering with each other, suddenly became weak. They sat down reluctantly, but they didn't intend to forgive each other. Gu Xiaoyang looked at the two of them, who turned their faces away and ate without looking at each other. He had a splitting headache and felt that he was in a difficult position. Chapter 920. On the other hand, Ning Xiyuan was obsessed with taking photos and videos of the grilled meat and vegetables on his plate. What are you doing? Ling Xiaoqi was a little confused by the scene. Although taking photos before eating was not a girl's privilege, Ning Xiyuan did not look like someone who would do such a thing. I'm taking photos and sending them to my brother. Your brother? Ling Xiaoqi had heard Ning Xiyuan mention his family situation before. She knew that he had a younger brother who was a celebrity and seemed to be from Su Yiyan's company. He went out of town to film a variety show 2 days ago and will only be back after a week. I heard that the place is relatively remote and the conditions are very difficult. He can't eat or sleep well, so he has to do everything himself. Ning Chirui had indeed taken on a variety show recently. He claimed that he was going to experience life in the most beautiful places in the country. When Ning Chirui heard the words, the most beautiful place, he excitedly packed up his things and ran over. When he arrived, he suffered a critical blow from reality. The scenery was beautiful, but the living conditions were too backward. Ning Chirui was beaten up by reality on his first day there. There was really nothing in the place. Not only did he live in a straw hut, he could not even buy a good nutrient solution, which forced Ning Chirui to gnaw on tree bark. Not only that, but the fans nowadays also loved to see the miserable looks of big celebrities. They claimed that they wanted to uncover the unknown side of the celebrities and let everyone see the contrast between them and the celebrities. For the sake of that little bit of ratings, the production team had put in a lot of effort to train them. Ning Chirui had only been gone for 2 days, but when he contacted them, he was no longer in the high spirits and enthusiasm he had before he left. All that was left was deep regret and bitter tears. The younger brother was suffering and starving far away, while the older brother was eating and drinking well at the boss's house. One could imagine how devastated Ning Chirui would be after seeing these photos and videos. Ling Xiaoqi heard the gloating in Ning Xiyuan's words and said with a subtle expression, "You're too bad." When Ning Xiyuan heard Ling Xiaoqi's words, he was not angry but happy. He smiled slyly and said, "It's good that you're bad. Isn't there a saying that women don't like bad men?" Ling Xiaoqi didn't expect him to say such a sentence. She was stunned for a while before she reacted. She raised her eyebrows and said, "Why? Do you want other women to love you too?" I just need a little kitten to love me. Ling Xiaoqi blushed. It was Ning Xiyuan who saved her when they first met. After that, Ning Xiyuan personally sent her home. After they got together, Ling Xiaoqi did ask him why he fell in love with her. Ning Xiyuan's explanation was, love at first sight. At that time, you were frightened and looked at me pitifully like a homeless kitten. From then on, the term little kitten became a tacit little secret between the two of them. Ning Xiyuan's sudden mention of it was like a critical hit to Ling Xiaoqi. How could she still care about Ning Xiyuan's teasing words? When Hua Hua followed the smell of meat skewers to find her owner, she saw such a scene. Her owner blushed and sat in her seat in a daze. Then, she seemed to have thought of something and looked up to glare at the person beside her. Hua Hua knew that her master's use of two-legged words was called anger from embarrassment. She was embarrassed and not really angry. Chapter 921. Not only was his master's boyfriend not angry at being glared at, he was also not afraid. He only looked at his master dotingly. It was clearly just eye contact without any physical contact, but it made people feel that they were compatible. Just by looking at them, it made people feel that nothing could come between them. Hua Hua stared at the two for a while, then turned and ran away without alarming anyone. Dun Dun watched his wife run away. He was squatting in the corner of the yard next to the dog hole, drawing circles. He was just about to take the initiative to look for his wife. Then he realized that his wife had run back on her own. Woof woof, woof woof woof. Dun Dun's spirits were lifted. He happily rushed over and ran in circles around Hua Hua. What was unexpected was that Hua Hua, who would usually impatiently slap him down, didn't do anything this time. Instead, she silently allowed a certain someone to have fun. Hua Hua raised its chin slightly and glanced at the silly dog who was trying hard to please it. Isn't he just a silly husband? Who doesn't have one? This prawn is delicious. I specially asked them to buy prawns with more meat. I've also picked out the prawns so you can eat them. Su Yiyin handed a few grilled prawns to Huo Chenhuan. Huo Chenhuan did not eat immediately after receiving them. Instead, she took out one of the prawns, peeled the shell, and handed it to Su Yiyin. Su Yiyin did not hesitate and ate it in one bite. Huo Chenhuan smiled slightly and continued peeling the shell. When the second prawn was handed over, Su Yiyin was unwilling to eat it. You eat too. Don't just feed me. It's inconvenient for you to have something on your hands. Su Yiyin still did not eat. Huo Chenhuan's eyes flashed when she saw this. She moved closer to Su Yiyin and threatened her. If you don't eat obediently, do you want me to kiss you in front of so many people? Su Yiyin was stunned and glared at a certain someone who was extremely daring. The audience in the live broadcast room heard this and exploded. Did I hear wrongly? Did the streamer's husband just say he wanted to kiss the streamer? That's right. What's with not eating obediently? Is he treating the streamer as a child and coaxing her? Oh my, why is it a little cute and a little sour? Come on. Kiss, kiss, kiss. I'll kiss you now. I'll kiss you immediately. I'm not a man if I don't kiss you. That's right. What's the point of flirting? If you're a man, take action. The streamer took the initiative to kiss you before. How can you not kiss her back? Kiss back, kiss back, kiss back. It could be seen that the audience had gradually calmed down after being abused by the two of them. If they didn't want to be abused, the best way was to take the lead and support the couple. If you dare to show off, I'll support you. Who's afraid of who? Su Yiyin's expression was erratic. At a glance, she saw the comments that were all over the screen encouraging Huo Chenhuan to kiss her. The corner of her mouth twitched slightly, and she was secretly speechless at these people's desire to see the world in chaos. Just as she was about to turn off the bullet screen, out of sight, out of mind, she heard Huo Chenhuan's low chuckle. It seems that they all want me to kiss you. Su Yiyin was shocked. When she turned her head, she realized that Huo Chenhuan had unknowingly moved closer to her and had a panoramic view of the comments floating by on the bullet screen. Those words on the bullet screen were clearly not from her, but Su Yiyin still felt inexplicably ashamed that she had been caught by Leng Wuji. In order to regain some face for herself, Su Yiyin snorted coldly and pretended to be angry. Do you do what they say? Do you feel that whether you kiss me or not depends on whether other people want to kiss me or not, and not whether you want to kiss me or not? Here she is, a tsundere streamer who says one thing and means another. Chapter 922. Tsk, if the host's husband dares to say no, he'll have to kneel on the washboard when he goes back. Don't ask me how I know, this is a lesson learned by blood. Vicissitudes of life lighting up smoke. JPG? Host? Kissing me depends on other people's opinions. Do you want to kiss me or do the audience want to kiss me? Upstairs, although we really want to kiss the host, we can't, right? We can only reluctantly let the host's husband do it for us. Aya, why haven't you kissed me yet? I've prepared the nutrient solution, I'm just waiting to see the two of you kiss. The screen was full of comments encouraging Huo Chenhuan, but to everyone's surprise, after reading these comments, Huo Chenhuan was unwilling to kiss in front of so many people. She narrowed her eyes and sneered. It's mine, I won't let you see it. My wife, can't I kiss you anytime? Why do I have to kiss you people? I won't. When we get off the stream we can kiss however we want. It's just the two of us, no one can see. It was just a few words, but it made the audience who had wanted to watch a good show angry. Aya, I'm so angry that I'm laughing. We can't even see your faces, we can't even hear your voices. Sob sob sob, I used to think that the host's husband was very good, rich and doting on his wife. After hearing this, I'm disillusioned. Good my ass, this is a stingy person. This isn't stingy, it's possessiveness. The host's husband is declaring his sovereignty to us. Doghead. So, why do I have to torture myself here? The hosts in other streaming rooms are so sweet. They spend more money and show their faces if they want to, and act cute if they want to. But here? It's fine if I can't see their faces, but I get angry so easily. I'm depressed. Our host doesn't lack money. If we really spend money and ask the host to do this and that, our streaming room would have been flooded with all kinds of gifts long ago. Have you forgotten the famous scene where the top dad was warned by the host in the battle with the new boss not long ago? Su Yin's heart skipped a beat when she saw this comment. She looked at Huo Chenhuan as if she sensed something. No wonder a certain someone was so clingy today. This was the first time he appeared in her streaming room. Previously, when he was not online, he could only compete with Do Channy in the livestream channel by throwing money to win the other party. It was not easy to show off their love openly. It was not only to reveal their true feelings, but also to warn those who were hiding behind the screen, including Do Channy. Su Yin was taken. Whoever dared to lay their hands on her should be prepared to be chopped off by him. Understanding this, Su Yin could not help but reveal a sweet smile on her face. At this moment, Lan Minghan, who had rushed back to the company to deal with some matters and missed a lot of delicious food, finally arrived. As soon as he entered the door, he saw the two of them being lovey-dovey. He couldn't help but cough lightly to make his presence felt. You're here. Yin Xiaoran's eyes lit up when she saw her husband. She got up and ran over to welcome him. Where's the child? She's playing with Andy's baby inside. Have the company's matters been settled? Are you hungry? It's all settled. As for whether he was hungry or not, Lan Minghan's gaze subconsciously drifted to the fragrant skewers in Su Yin's hands. The meaning behind his gaze was self-evident. Su Yin was very familiar with Lan Minghan's gaze. She handed the skewers in her hands to Huo Chenhuan and smiled slightly. You came at the right time. If you came any later, the delicious food would have been gone. Immediately, everyone saw Su Yin bend over and open the small oven below. She used a pair of pliers to pull out a large black lump that seemed to be charred. Chapter 923. Lan Jia was originally a curious baby. As soon as the black ball rolled out, he spontaneously went over to poke it. Don't move, it's still very hot. Do you want to cook your little hoof? Lan Jia was shocked. He silently lowered his head to look at his white and slender little hoof, and sullenly withdrew his hand. It seems to be soil. Soil? Lan Minghan's expression suddenly became subtle. This was what little Ant meant by delicious food. Could it be that she wanted him to eat soil? Was he going to eat or not? Lan Minghan was instantly caught in a dilemma. Su Yin was oblivious to Lan Minghan's inner struggle. He took a small hammer and hit the black ball. With a crack, the outer layer of soil cracked open, revealing the yellowed lotus leaves inside. There's something inside. Lan Jia's eyes lit up slightly, like a child who had found a special toy. Su Yin reached out to take the thing out of the soil, but was stopped by Huo Chenhuan. Let me. Huo Chenhuan said as he took out the thing and put it on the table beside him before Su Yin could. Su Yin took his hand and glanced at it. After making sure that it wasn't scalded, he walked over and cut the rope that tied the lotus leaves. He lifted the lotus leaves that were wrapped in several layers, and a roasted chicken appeared in front of everyone. Su Yin tried to poke the chicken with chopsticks. The chicken's belly was immediately poked open, revealing all kinds of spices, shrimps, diced meat, mushrooms, bamboo shoots, and other side dishes hidden in the belly. The fragrance that was locked inside was also completely released. This is called beggar's chicken. According to legend, a beggar who was a beggar accidentally got a chicken, but he didn't have any spices. Helpless, he could only throw the chicken into the fire to roast it. But the one I made is an improved version. I added some ingredients and side dishes. Before I covered it with mud, I wrapped it with many layers of lotus leaves so that it won't get dirty even if it's covered with mud. The lotus leaves are the leaves of the lotus. Previously I said that the lotus is a treasure. There are lotus seeds in the lotus pod and there are lotus roots at the bottom. The flowers, lotus roots and lotus seeds can all be eaten. The lotus leaves can also be used to wrap some food and cook it with flavor. Speaking of this, Su Yiyin drew a big picture for everyone present. The beggar's chicken is just one of the cooking methods. Next time, I'll make lotus leaf glutinous rice chicken for you. It's also very delicious. Although the audience present and the live stream viewers did not know what the lotus leaf glutinous rice chicken looked like, many of them were already craving it after hearing what Su Yiyin said. Andy, can we eat this now? Lan Jia almost blurted it out as he looked at Su Yiyin eagerly. That's enough. Everyone's eyes lit up. They couldn't wait to attack. But considering that there were other people around and that they were in the live stream, they resisted this impulse. They scurried around and found the chopsticks. Finally, they reached out their evil claws to the chicken filled with this sinful aroma. The chicken skin on the surface of the chicken had become fresh, thin, and soft because of the long-term roasting. When they ate it, they could even taste a faint burnt aroma. The fragrance of the lotus leaves slowly penetrated into the chicken during the roasting process, making the chicken crispy, fat, and tender. The lotus fragrance assailed their nostrils. Coupled with the various seasonings and side dishes inside, everyone was mesmerized by the taste after just one bite. How is it? Is it delicious? Su Yiyin asked subconsciously when she saw that they didn't speak after eating. Chapter 924. This question brought everyone back to their senses. Lan Jia was her fan to begin with. Now that a fan had appeared and even had the chance to eat the delicious meal that his idol had personally cooked, he couldn't hold back his belly full of praise. Delicious, delicious, very delicious. I've never eaten such delicious chicken in my life. It's obviously covered in soil, but there's no earthy taste at all. There's only the fragrance of the leaves. The outer layer is crispy, fragrant, and a little sweet. The chicken isn't as dry as the barbecue meat I've eaten before. Instead, it's very tender. I feel like the meat is going to melt in my mouth. It's so delicious. Lan Jia's outburst stunned everyone, and it also made the audience in the streaming room temporarily shift their attention away from the food. 666. What kind of celestial brother is this? He actually said all the things I wanted to say but didn't know how to say. I'll give you a like. Streamer, tell me honestly. To be your friend, do I have to learn how to flatter first? If so, I'll go and learn right now. How is this flattery? Is the truth okay? If I can eat a meal cooked by the streamer, I can totally write a 3,000-word review of flattery. Hurry up and let me do it. TSK. I was originally quite happy because I ate a lot of good food today, but when I heard this brother's flattery, I instantly felt that the chicken in my hand wasn't delicious anymore. Sob sob sob, for the 11,220th time, I want to be the streamer's friend and eat a meal cooked by the streamer. Touch the person above. Go to sleep. There's everything in your dreams. After Lan Jia finished speaking, he realized that he had lost his composure. When he met the surprised and confused gazes of the people around him, he froze on the spot as if a bucket of cold water had been poured on him. Lan Minghan could understand his brother's feelings. Ahem, Jia is right. This chicken is indeed delicious. It's better than what I've eaten before. The others reacted and hurriedly echoed, yeah. Although the barbecue just now was also delicious, the taste is different from that one. They both have their own advantages. It's hard to choose. Eat more if it's delicious. There's no need to choose. It wasn't easy to invite you all here. How can I let you all go home hungry? As Su Yiyin spoke, he glanced at Yen Xiaoran and smiled faintly. If you feel that it's a bit too much to eat only vegetables and meat, there's some porridge in the kitchen. It's not bad. Yen Xiaoran received Su Yiyin's gaze and was startled. She quickly realized that the beggar's chicken and porridge were not specially prepared for her. The barbecue didn't have any seasonings like pepper. On the contrary, the beggar's chicken was sweet and delicious to her. It was neither salty nor bland, which suited her taste. When they heard that there was porridge to yans to be had to eat a bowl. The beggar to eat the beggar eat barbecue, to eat barbecue eat. The two to eat To eat to eat to eat eat to the stream to eat 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 to the point to eat eat to eat to eat to eat eat to eat 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 eat. S asterisk asterisk to the asterisk asterisk. To the asterisk when they were almost done eating, Su Yiyin temporarily gave the barbecue position to Huo Chenhuan. He returned to the small kitchen to check on the stewed soups. After a few hours of stewing, the soups were already very tasty. When the lids were lifted, the house was filled with the unique smell of medicinal herbs. It wasn't very fragrant, but it wasn't bad either. Especially the 4-ingredient stewed chicken. When the lid was lifted, the smell rushed to the tip of the nose and lingered for a long time. It was hard to ignore. Chapter 925. Next, let's draw a prize. Streamer, can you draw some barbecue for free? I want to eat it. There's also beggar's chicken. I want to eat beggar's chicken. Looking up to the sky and crying out loud. JPG, I'm sorry. For barbecue, the ingredients prepared today are basically used up. I really can't give it away. Everyone. Were those guys pigs? They could eat so much. But on second thought, if they could be invited to the streamer's home as guests like them and eat the dishes made by the streamer, even if their stomachs burst, they wouldn't be willing to let go of any delicious food. I can give away 1 beggar's chicken. I just put 2 or 3 in. I didn't eat much, so there should be 1 left. Let's draw a lucky audience to give it to me. No matter how good a person's appetite was, the capacity of the stomach was limited. Ling Xiaoqi and others ate a lot of barbecue and porridge. Although the chicken was delicious, they couldn't eat it all. At least there was 1 left. 1. Oh my god, did I hear it wrong? It's a whole 1, not a piece of meat or a leg. It's a whole 1. Streamer, look at me. I'm a loyal fan of the streamer. I've watched all of the streamer's previous live broadcasts, and I've given rewards for each one. For the sake of my love for you, please give me the prize. Get out of here. Why are you playing the emotional card at this time? What's so great about being an old fan? We're also old fans of the streamer. We've watched all of the streamer's live broadcasts. As for the rewards, if you have the ability, you can compete with the top 1 on the list. Let's see if he can beat you to death. Jade Emperor, Queen Mother, God, Jesus, Zeus, Apollo, and all the gods above. I'm willing to exchange my fat for this barbecue chicken. Please let me be the winner. Although according to the usual practice, there would be a lot of people cramming in the bullet screen at the last minute and praying for a lucky draw, it was the first time Su Yiyin had seen so many people spamming the bullet screen as enthusiastically as today. It could be seen how charming this whole chicken was. However, no matter how these people begged, there was only 1 lucky person after all. Congratulations to the lucky audience, Yaya Hometown Ming, for getting a beggar's chicken. Please send me a private message as soon as possible. The prize will be sent out in a few minutes. Please check it carefully. As soon as Su Yiyin's voice fell, the man sitting in front of the office computer jumped up and said excitedly, I got it. I got it. No, it's me, hee. This lucky audience member is you? The big boss's voice came from behind her. Only then did Liu realize that she had been too excited and yelled in front of the big boss. His face, which had been flushed with excitement, turned pale. Dou Qianni saw that he did not speak for a long time. His eyes narrowed dangerously as he said coldly, Don't make me ask a second time. Liu was shocked and quickly said, It's my sister's account. I borrowed it. Your sister's number? Dou Qianni's mind flashed, and a look of understanding flashed across his face. A long time ago, someone had mentioned that a large proportion of the lucky audience members in Su Yiyin's live broadcast room were female accounts. Few male accounts could get the patronage of the goddess of luck. For this reason, there were even people who questioned whether Su Yiyin had adjusted the probability of male and female accounts to discriminate against male accounts. However, not long after this question was posted, it was blocked by the website for deliberately slandering the host. The audience in Su Yiyin's live broadcast room did not feel anything. After all, the lucky draw relied on a bit of luck. Chapter 926. After Su Yiyin became popular, she attracted a lot of jealous people. They were used to all kinds of strange ways to slander her. Seeing that the other party was banned, they didn't care too much about this problem. Dou Qianni didn't think so. He always felt that the data behind was not as simple as it looked. And the person who caused this may not be Su Yiyin herself, but it may be. Inform the financial department to transfer you a sum of money according to the auction price. Put it into my account. Liu's heart skipped a beat. He knew that Dou Qianni was going to spend money to buy the beggar's chicken from him. Although he could get money if he had a choice, he really didn't want to give up the chicken. Sob, sob, sob. It was not easy to be lucky. You really wanted to eat it? Do Tianyi didn't understand the pain in his assistant's heart. He stared at the busy figure on the screen and tried to suppress the impulse to grab the person. He whispered, "Wait, wait." Before the prey fell into the trap, the hunter needed to be patient enough to wait for the right time. After the lottery, Su Yiyan packed several prizes and sent them out. Then she was ready to go back to the yard. But she didn't expect to meet someone just at the door of the kitchen. "Ma, little aunt." Su Yiyan was amused by Lan Jia's hesitant look. "What? Do you want to settle accounts with me again?" "No. No, I didn't want to settle accounts with you. What you said before made sense. I didn't ask anything and assumed that you were a fan of the streamer like me. If you insist, I'm the one with the bigger problem. I also have a certain responsibility. I didn't want people to know that I was the streamer in the live broadcast room. So, when you asked me if I was a fan, I didn't say anything. But in a way it was a tacit admission. I did give you some wrong information when I faced you and made you misunderstand. Why don't you want people to know that you are the streamer? There are so many people on the internet who like you. They like the streamer Yan Yan, not your little aunt Su Yiyan." Lan Jia looked blank. "What's the difference? You two are clearly the same person." "It's the same person, but as far as I'm concerned, Su Yiyan is Su Yiyan, and the host is the host. Back then, the reason why I chose to do a live broadcast was because I wanted to bring these things back to the public. At the same time, he could also accumulate favorability points to speed up the activation of skill points and unlock Chinese medicinal herbs to treat Hua Qinhuan's leg. The intention is good, but that doesn't mean that I have to sacrifice my real life to serve it. You just said that there are many people who like me online, but there are also many people who don't like me. If I don't let them know that I'm the host, no matter how much they hate me, they can only talk about me online. But if they found out, they might come to the real world to discuss me and my family. I don't want this to affect my current life and my family." Lan Jia was stunned for a while before he mumbled, "So, you're still refusing to show your face in the live stream?" "Yes." "Then why did you invite me and my brother today? You're different. You're my fans and you have a good relationship with Qinhuan. Qinhuan trusts you, so I naturally trust you too." When Lan Jia heard this, he felt flowers blooming in his heart. He suddenly understood the happiness of those girls who chased after celebrities. So, this was what it felt like to be an idol? It seemed like he could continue to be a fan. Chapter 927. Lan Jia looked at Su Yiyan, touched. He was about to say something to express his determination as a fan when he heard Su Yiyan add, "Of course, the main reason is that our Qinhuan is a senior in the family, and he's protective of his loved ones. If you dare to leak this out..." Lan Jia raised his head in a daze and met Su Yiyan's devilish smile. "I'll let him beat you up." Lan Jia. Was it too late for him to quit being a fan? "Don't blame your brother and sister-in-law. I asked them to hide it from me. First, I didn't want people to know so early. Second, I was afraid that you'd feel awkward after knowing the truth. If you want to blame someone, blame me. Don't blame them." Su Yiyan saw that he was still in a daze. She smiled and teased him. "Of course it's okay if you want to blame them. I don't think you can beat them anyway. If not, I'll ask Qinhuan to be the first to beat you up. Anyway, you definitely can't beat Qinhuan." Lan Jia. Not only did he want to quit being a fan, but he also wanted to step on her. When the two of them came out of the house, there was a huge contrast. Su Yiyan was all smiles as if she had won a battle. Lan Jia's eyes were unfocused as if he had suffered a huge blow. Hua Qinhuan saw the two strange expressions. Su Yiyan walked over and asked in a low voice, "What's wrong with that guy?" Su Yiyan chuckled and said slyly, "Nothing. He just helped you establish your authority as an elder." Hua Qinhuan frowned slightly but did not ask. She only checked the surveillance footage from Yuanyuan's database and found out the whole story. She didn't know whether to laugh or cry. That night, she tortured this little liar who used her connections to intimidate others several times. The next morning, Hua Qinhuan did not go to the Hua Corporation. Instead, she asked the driver to send her to a remote and run-down suburban district. "Who is it?" The woman in the small rental house heard the knock and walked out. She peeked through the crack in the door but was stunned when she saw the person's face. "How did you?" Hua Qinhuan looked at her expressionlessly and said coldly, "Is it convenient to talk inside?" The woman, Xue Xiaoyu, who had tricked Hua Qinhuan and now lived alone, stared at Hua Qinhuan for a while. Then she opened the door and let her in. The house where Xue Xiaoyu lived now was the old house where her family used to live. Xue Xiaoyu's father started from scratch. Even after they made money from their business, They didn't give up the old house that they bought with their first bucket of gold. Shui Xiao had lived here for more than 20 years. It could be said that there were too many memories of her in this house. Unfortunately, back then the Shui family's capital chain was broken and they owed a huge debt. As the couple's joint property, this house was auctioned off to pay off the debt. After the death of his parents and sister, Shui Xiao was depressed for a period of time. After he cheered himself up, he began to earn money desperately to buy back the house. Unfortunately, her ability was limited. Besides, she already had the idea of revenge against Huaqihan. She was also worried that if this house was registered under her name, it would arouse Huaqihan's suspicion and then her identity would be discovered. In the end, Huaqinhuan helped her solve this problem and returned the house to its original owner. After Huaqinhuan entered the house, she glanced around quietly and her eyes flashed slightly. The house with 3 rooms and 1 living room was not big, but it was decorated very cozily. It could be seen that Shui Xiao had put in a lot of effort in this aspect after taking back the house. Chapter 928. Shui Xiao took a glass of water and put it in front of Huaqinhuan. He sat opposite Huaqinhuan like an old friend and said lightly, "I thought you wouldn't come to me again after Huaqihan was arrested. I thought you wanted me to come to you." Shui Xiaoyu's expression was slightly stiff. She lowered her head and did not speak. Huaqinhuan did not want to beat around the bush with her and said directly, "Huaqihan wanted to steal my child. Why didn't you tell me in advance?" "It's not that I didn't tell you in advance. Although Huaqihan took me with him, he usually avoided me and didn't let me know about this kind of thing." Huaqinhuan's eyes narrowed dangerously. "You're lying." "I didn't lie." Shui Xiaoyu was not afraid of Huaqinhuan at all. She smiled sarcastically and hollowly. "When Huaqihan contacted that woman, he did avoid me. Maybe in his eyes, I was just a daughter flower attached to him. If I hadn't shown my deep affection for him when he was betrayed by his friends and family and fully satisfied his male chauvinism vanity, I'm afraid he would have thrown me away long ago. However, no matter how careful he was, I still heard it." When Shui Xiaoyu said this, her eyes stared at Huaqinhuan unreservedly. She was calm and numb. It seemed that she didn't care whether Huaqinhuan would be angry after hearing this, let alone whether he would retaliate against her after this. Huaqinhuan's eyes were slightly cold. She had already understood the real purpose of Shui Xiaoyu's action. "You want to kill Huaqihan with a borrowed knife. You want me to help you kill him. I am sorry for you and your wife, but I don't regret it." Shui Xiaoyu was a spy that Huaqinhuan buried beside Huaqihan. She helped Huaqinhuan to keep an eye on the family who was every move and stir up trouble to make Huaqihan betray his friends and family. But this time, Shui Xiaoyu got the news in advance that Huaqihan colluded with the servants of the old house to steal Huaqinhuan's child, but she kept silent from the beginning to the end. "You knew where Huaqihan was hiding. You played with him like a cat playing with a mouse, making him see hope and fall into deeper despair. But it's far from enough for me." Speaking of this, Shui Xiao took a deep breath. What would have happened if he had been caught? He would be imprisoned for a lifetime, but Shui Xiaoyu, she wanted Huaqihan to die. Of course. She knew that his wife and children were Huaqinhuan's sore spot. As long as they were touched, Huaqihan would have no reason to continue living. Of this deal. She felt that she was losing is this. Of this deal. Of this deal. Huaqinhuan looked at her and frowned slightly. He seemed to realize something and said, "Do you want to die?" Shui Xiaoyu knew that she would offend her. If she really wanted to get out of this matter, she should have gone as far as possible after Huaqihan was arrested. She should have gone as far as she could, instead of staying here and waiting for her to find her. The only explanation was that she never wanted to live from the beginning. Taking revenge on Huaqihan was the only driving force that kept her alive. The only thing she wanted to do now was to see him pay the price for all the things he had done. Then she would go to this familiar place to find her family. Huaqinhuan was silent for a long time and suddenly got up. The result of Huaqihan's case will be out in a month. Shui Xiaoyu was slightly stunned and smiled. "Really? That's great." Huaqinhuan glanced at her and turned to go out. But the moment she stepped out of the door, she whispered, "Leave here and find a place where no one knows you to start over." Chapter 929. Shui Xiao's eyes widened, looking at Huaqinhuan's back in disbelief. "You?" Huaqinhuan ignored her surprise and was about to leave. Shui Xiao chased after him. "Don't you want to take revenge on me?" Huaqinhuan frowned slightly. "Do you want me to take revenge on you?" "That's not it." Shui Xiao looked up and down at Huaqinhuan and chuckled. I just feel strange that you are not such a gentle person. It's Yin Yin's idea. Yin Yin? Shui Xiao's mind flashed. Your wife. Compared to sacrificing yourself to avenge your family and reunite with them by committing suicide, your family may want you to live happily for the rest of your life. Did your wife also say this? Shui Xiao was slightly surprised but felt that it was reasonable. When they first met, Hu Qinhuan was not married yet. At that time, Shui Xiao immediately felt the similar atmosphere in him. But since he got married, Shui Xiao could feel the change in him more than anyone else. And the person who caused all these changes was undoubtedly his wife. Your wife is really a gentle person. Shui Xiao was a little envious and jealous. You are very lucky. At the most unfortunate time, he met the light that could illuminate him and the person who was willing to pull him out of the swamp. Hearing her words, Hu Qinhuan's expression softened. Shui Xiao couldn't help but feel a little jealous, sighing, "For the sake of your wife, I will give you a gift." A gift? Hu Qinhuan had no choice but to record it when he was desperate. I think you should be interested in it. Shui Xiao took out a recording pen from her pocket and handed it to Hu Qinhuan. This recording pen was very small, with a large capacity and a wide range of recording distance. After Shui Xiao followed Hu Qinhuan, she took this pen almost every day, in order to record evidence that could overthrow Hu Qinhuan at any time and place. This is a recording that I secretly recorded when he was on the phone with someone when he was running away with me. At that time he seemed to have a dispute with the other party over money. I roughly heard that it seemed to be related to the death of your parents. Hu Qinhuan's eyes narrowed slightly. She grabbed the recording pen and turned it on. Hu Qinhuan's exasperated voice immediately came out. I can't even protect myself now. Where am I going to find such a large sum of money for you? What do you mean? Threatening me? What happened back then? What else can you do other than threaten me with what happened back then? Don't forget that you were the mastermind behind the incident back then. At best, I was just a little pawn who provided information for you. You were the ones who sent people to attack them, and you were the ones who tampered with the car. Jing Qianyang is in the country right now. Do you really think that he suddenly came back just to take a look at my vicious brother? If you're not worried about exposing your whereabouts and being hunted down by Jing Qianyang and the fish that escaped the net back then, you can publicize what happened back then. For so many years, every time you don't have money you come to me for help. Do you really think I'm your ATM? It was okay when the whole group was still in my hands. Now I have nothing anyway. My life is worthless. It's worth it to drag you vampires down with me. Either you kill that little bastard like how you killed the two old bastards and let the whole group return to my hands. Or don't come to me again. I have no money to give you. Chapter 930. The recording stopped abruptly. She guessed that Hu Qinhuan had hung up the phone after saying those harsh words. Hu Qinhuan's face sank when she heard Hu Qinhuan's second sentence. Her face became even gloomier when she heard the last sentence. Although Hu Qinhuan did not say what the other party was threatening him with, she could tell from his words that he was talking about the accidental death of Hu Qinhuan's parents. Hu Qinhuan was in contact with the group of people who planned all this at that time. He must have something to do with what happened that year. Hu Qinhuan put away the recording pen with a gloomy face. Then she solemnly said to Shui Xiao, "Thank you." Even if she knew that Shui Xiao took out this thing at this time to make Hu Qinhuan die more miserably, it was undeniable that she did help in this matter. Shui Xiao smiled and didn't accept his gratitude. "Thank your wife." Hu Qinhuan went downstairs with the recording and immediately contacted Jing Qianyang. "Uncle, where are you now? I have something to discuss with you. Can you come to my company?" "Yes, now it's very important. It can't be explained over the phone." "Okay, I'll wait for you in the company." Hu Qinhuan hung up the phone and looked at the car passing by the window. Her face was gloomy and terrible. On the other side, when Su Yiyin went downstairs, Hu Qinhuan had already gone out. After a simple breakfast with the little fellow, Su Yiyin set off for the company. Unexpectedly, she received a strange phone call when she just arrived at the company's gate. Su Yiyin hesitated for a while and picked it up. Unexpectedly, "Miss Su." "Mr. Doe?" "It's me." "What about the matter that I asked Miss Su to consider before?" "Miss Su, have you considered it?" "The matter before?" Su Yiyin was stunned. She really forgot about it. However, that day Do Qianni came to her uninvited and said a lot of specious words. In Su Yin's opinion, it was very annoying. Later, this person stopped for a period of time and did not bother her again. She thought that her answer that day had made him retreat. "Mr. Doe, I said very clearly that day that our two companies have different business philosophies. There is no need to cooperate at all. If you want to find someone to cooperate with you, You can cooperate with other management companies. I believe that with the scale of Hai, as long as you say so, there will be many companies scrambling. Why do you want to fight with a small company like mine? But I only want to work with you. Not with your company but with you. When Su Yian heard his words, she did not know why, but she had goosebumps all over her body. Her words became a little impatient. But I don't want to work with you. This is my answer. I hope this is the last call you'll make to me. If there's nothing else, I'll hang up first. Su Yian didn't wait for Do Channy's reaction and hung up the phone. Just as she took 2 steps forward, a group of tall and strong men in black rushed over from who knows where and surrounded her. Su Yian's bodyguards heard the commotion and quickly stepped forward to shield Su Yian behind them. In a moment, the leader of the group of uninvited guests surrounding Su Yian walked out and said respectfully, "Miss Su, our boss wants to talk to you about something. Please come with us." "Your boss?" Su Yian recalled the phone call and her face darkened. "Do Channy sent you?" Chapter 931. The leader did not say yes or no. He only said in a low voice, "Boss only wants to see Miss Su and have a chat with Miss Su face to face. He won't hurt Miss Su. Please rest assured, Miss Su." "Then it's him." Su Yian was so angry that she laughed. Was she worried that a certain someone would hurt her? She was angry at a certain someone's incomparably arrogant attitude in inviting her. His mouth said please, but his actions were inhumane. He raised the banner of tolerance high, but in reality he was just a wolf in sheep's clothing. He could not move others but only himself. Sure enough, these world's protagonists had problems with their brains. If I go just because he asks me to, wouldn't I lose face? Please, Miss Su, don't make things difficult for us. Damn, he even used moral blackmail. The mockery in Su Yian's eyes intensified. She asked, "Am I very familiar with you?" The leader was stunned. How could he dare to answer such a question? "This is the first time I've met Miss Su." "That means we're not familiar with each other." Su Yian sneered at him. "Since we're not familiar with each other, why should I care if you make things difficult for me?" The leader choked. Just as he was about to say something, he was once again interrupted by Su Yian. "Besides, I'm not the one who's making things difficult for you. If you have the ability, go back and tell your boss not to make things difficult for you. Why are you looking for me? Picking the soft persimmon to pinch? Then I'm really sorry. I'm not some soft persimmon. I'm not someone you can pinch just because you want to." The leader's face turned ashen after being ridiculed by Su Yian's words, but he had no choice but to endure it. After all, his boss's intention was to politely invite her back and not hurt a single hair on her head. Looks like Miss Su doesn't intend to cooperate. Then don't blame us for not knowing the severity of our actions and hurting you. When Su Yian heard what he said, he almost couldn't help but curse on the spot. "You guys look like you don't have good intentions. You want me to go with you? You don't even ask for my opinion. As soon as I rejected you, you wanted to use force. You even told me not to blame you for not knowing the severity of your actions. You're really acting like a whore, yet you still want to set up a monument to your chastity." Su Yian was so angry that he laughed. Looking at the several people, he said, "Is that so? Should I thank you then?" After Su Yian finished speaking, he was too lazy to talk nonsense with this group of people. He reached out and patted the bodyguard in front of him. "These people don't seem to put you in their eyes at all. If you don't teach them a lesson, I'm afraid your boss will lose face." The bodyguard also smiled. "What you said makes sense, but fists and feet have no eyes. You'd better go back to the car and wait for us to deal with it before you get out, okay?" Their location was still some distance away from the company's main entrance, and this group of people had long been prepared to block the only way to the main entrance. Compared to running to the company now, it was obviously safer to go back to the car. "Sure, why not? I'll go back now." When the leader saw that Su Yian was about to leave, his face darkened, and he decisively led his men to approach Su Yian's direction. After a while, they started fighting with Su Yian's bodyguards. After all, their target was Su Yian, and they were only told not to hurt Su Yian. Most of the people around Su Yian were transferred from Zheng Qianyang to Huo and Huo specially sent to protect Su Yian. Most of them were retired martial artists from the special department. 1 against 2 was no problem, but Do Channy seemed to know the people around her very well. This time he also spent a lot of money to invite Su Yian. Chapter 932. The people who surrounded Su Yian were not as good as the bodyguards on Su Yian's side. However, with 2 or 3 people surrounding one person, it still caused some trouble for the bodyguards. Because of these people's entanglement, it was inevitable that some mistakes were made in their defense. Several people who escaped the net took advantage of the fact that Su Yiyan's bodyguards were tied up by their colleagues and rushed towards Su Yiyan. They wanted to take her away before Su Yiyan got into the car. At that time, Su Yiyan only had 2 bodyguards beside her, but there were 5 people who rushed over. The 5 people had a clear division of labor. 4 of them were divided into 2 groups to tie up the 2 bodyguards, while the remaining 1 ran directly to catch Su Yiyan. In their opinion, Su Yiyan was a weak woman who lived like a princess. She would be knocked down with a casual touch and would not have the strength to fight back. 1 person was more than enough to catch her. The 2 bodyguards who were tied up quickly realized their intentions and wanted to stop them. However, these people were too cunning. Even if they could not beat them, they would hug their necks or legs and would not let them move at all. Seeing that the person was getting closer and closer to Su Yiyan, everyone's hearts were in their mouths. However, the expected scene did not happen. The development of the matter was beyond everyone's expectations. As soon as the man touched Su Yiyan, she clasped his wrist and threw him over her shoulder, causing him to be stunned. However, this man was not to be trifled with. After realizing that he had underestimated his opponent, he quickly got up from the ground and wanted to pounce on Su Yiyan again. However, Su Yiyan was 1 step ahead of him. Before he could stand up straight, she kicked the bend of his leg and kicked him until he knelt on 1 knee. Then she picked up the bag in her hand and threw it at the man's face, directly hammering him to the ground. After suffering 2 heavy blows, the man only felt pain in his chest and legs. His face was burning and blood flowed down his nose like it was free. He did not know if his nose bridge was broken or not. He struggled to get up, only to find that Su Yiyan had walked to his side without him noticing. With a smile on his face, he stared at him condescendingly. The man did not know why, but he felt a chill run down his spine. He suddenly had an ominous premonition. In the next second he saw Su Yiyan slowly raise his foot. The muffled sound of the collision and someone's shrill scream made all the men present clamp their legs together. They looked at Su Yiyan with panic in their eyes. Su Yiyan glanced at the man who was rolling back and forth in pain on the ground. She simply moved her muscles and bones, slung her bag over her shoulder and said regretfully, "If I knew that I would encounter such bad luck today, I wouldn't have worn a skirt. It really affected my performance." "Everyone? That's enough to restrict you? If you don't wear a dress, I'm afraid you'll go to heaven." Before they came, they had already planned to use force if the soft approach did not work. At this moment, they finally realized that Su Yiyan was not the soft persimmon that they had imagined. Just as he was wondering whether he should leave or stay, an angry shout suddenly came from not far away. "The few of you, what are you doing here?" Everyone looked over and saw Xia Junxing with a gloomy face. He led a group of security guards and hurried over to Su Yiyan and the others. The leader realized that the situation had changed. He gritted his teeth and finally gave up on continuing to tangle with Su Yiyan and the others. He quickly retreated with his men. Su Yiyan's men wanted to chase after them, but they were stopped by Su Yiyan. "There's no need to chase after them. Every injustice has its perpetrator, and every debt has its debtor. We all know who sent them here. We don't have to worry about not having a chance to take revenge." Chapter 933. When they heard Su Yiyan's words, they naturally obeyed unconditionally. Most importantly, they still had some psychological trauma towards Su Yiyan. Whenever they saw her, they couldn't help but want to clamp their legs together. Xia Junxing came late and didn't see Su Yiyan's heroic appearance. He asked nervously, "Are you okay?" "Those people just now." "I'm fine. Why are you here?" "Those people just now, you can think of it as kidnapping." "Kidnapping?" Xia Junxing's voice suddenly rose. "In broad daylight with so many people around you, they dare to kidnap you? These people are too lawless." "They're indeed quite lawless." Su Yiyan didn't tell Xia Junxing that if she didn't know some martial arts, they might have succeeded. "No, they dare to kidnap you so blatantly? I'm afraid they won't let it go so easily. Do you want to call the police? Did you provoke some kind of enemy? Do you want to—" "No, I know who it is." "You know who it is?" Xia Junxing was stunned. "Then, I know what to do. Don't worry, I'll take care of it." Xia Junxing wasn't as optimistic as she was. He frowned and said, "Don't be stubborn. At the very least, they're still your brother and your husband. Don't tell my brother about this first." Xia Junxing raised his eyebrows and asked, "Are you sure?" Su Yiyan choked. She remembered that the baby was almost stolen last time. She didn't want her family to worry, so she didn't say anything. After the incident, she was harshly criticized. This time, it happened in front of so many people. It would be harder to keep it a secret than the last time. Why not? Ahem, don't tell him first. I'll tell him myself. Okay, then you tell him yourself. As Su Yiyan expected, this matter couldn't be kept a secret. As soon as she stepped into the company, someone tipped her off and told Huo Chenhuan about it. At this time, Huo Chenhuan was in the office talking to Zheng Qianyang about the recording. After listening to the recording, Zheng Qianyang's reaction was even more explosive than Huo Chenhuan's. This bastard. I've raised him for 20 to 30 years, and in the end, I've raised an insatiable ingrate. Although, they had raised him for so long and had never mistreated him. How could he? How could he do such a thing? Had he not had nightmares all these years? I never thought that I would suffer retribution. He even tried to instigate those people to harm you. Just to take back the Huo Corporation, he wanted nothing more than to end the family Huo's bloodline. What sins did my sister and brother-in-law commit in their past lives to provoke such a beast? Before this, Zheng Qianyang had actually thought about the Huo Corporation and whether there were spies around him. Otherwise, over the years, every time he was about to find a clue, it would quickly break off and return to the starting point. However, he never expected that the mole would turn out to be Huo Qihan. He also didn't expect that he was the key to the death of Huo Chenhuan's parents. For more than 30 years, even a dog would wag its tail and beg for mercy, but there was no way to warm up this ingrate's heart. No, he doesn't have a heart at all. Compared to Zheng Qianyang's fury, Huo Chenhuan was very calm. However, those who knew him knew that the calmer he was, the scarier he was. It's not that he doesn't have a heart. On the contrary, he has too much and too big a heart. He can't tolerate my parents and he can't tolerate me. Chapter 934. To put it bluntly, the reason why Huo Qihan took such a big risk to cooperate with a group of desperados and commit such an atrocious act was that he was worried that his parents would hand over the Huo Corporation to Huo Chenhuan, leaving him with nothing to gain. He might as well go all the way and kill all the people and things that might threaten him while they were still in the cradle. It was not that he was heartless but that he was too ruthless. He could even abandon the family who had raised him and nurtured him for so many years. Zheng Qianyang was naturally aware of this, but even though he knew, he still found it hard to accept. His sister and brother-in-law had been smart all their lives, but in the end they had fallen into this kind of child debt. How could he not sigh? Thinking of this, his hatred for Huo Qihan deepened. What are you going to do? It's impossible not to avenge my parents and my child. But it's definitely not enough to capture him alone. Huo Chenhuan turned to look at Zheng Qianyang. From this recording, it can be seen that he has been in contact with that group of people over the years, and he has been in contact with them recently. Huo Qihan's capture was not widely publicized, and only a few people know about it. I want to ask Uncle to help me set this matter as top secret, at least to ensure that those people won't find out that Huo Qihan is under our control in the short term. Zheng Qianyang's eyes flashed slightly, and he immediately saw what Huo Chenhuan wanted to do. You want to use Huo Qihan to lure that group of people out? Yes. I'm afraid Huo Qihan won't cooperate. If he doesn't cooperate, then find a way to make him cooperate. The beast that had been dormant for a long time finally bared its fangs at this moment. Zheng Qianyang was shocked. Looking at Huo Chenhuan, whose aura suddenly erupted, he finally realized that it was not that his nephew didn't hate. He just hid this hatred in the deepest part of his heart, accumulating it bit by bit and brewing it bit by bit. All the forbearance in the past was just to kill at the critical moment. I understand your feelings, but those people are very cunning. If we don't handle this matter well, we might alert them and waste all our previous efforts. We have to think about it carefully. The bodyguard's call came in at this time. Huo Chenhuan didn't want to answer, but when she looked at the number, she realized that it was from Su Yiyan's bodyguard. She was worried that something might have happened to Su Yiyan, so she picked up the call. As soon as the call connected, the person on the other end said that Su Yiyan was almost kidnapped by a group of men in black who suddenly appeared at the entrance of his company. The boss behind these men in black was suspected to be the head of the Dou family, Dou Tianyi. Fortunately, with the efforts of all of them and the eruption of the young madam's little universe, they successfully repelled this group of uninvited guests. During this time, he emphasized that Su Yiyan alone beat up a big man who was several times bigger than her until he was bleeding and almost had no descendants. Unfortunately, Huo Chenhuan's mind was focused on Su Yiyan almost being kidnapped. How could she be in the mood to listen to his explanation? She immediately left Zheng Qianyang and rushed out. Zheng Qianyang was not stupid. When he saw Hua Qinhuan's expression suddenly change and run out, he knew that something big must have happened. He hurriedly followed after her. Hua Qinhuan ran to Dongqing City as fast as she could, but the first thing she encountered was neither big nor small. This was the first time he had entered Su Yiyan's company. The receptionist didn't recognize him at all and asked him politely, "Hello, sir. May I know who you are looking for?" Chapter 935. Hua Qinhuan couldn't be bothered to argue with her, so she raised her feet and headed upstairs. The lady at the front desk had just witnessed an attempted kidnapping, so she was a little paranoid at this moment. When she saw Hua Qinhuan heading upstairs, her expression changed slightly. She was about to call for help when her colleague stopped her. "Why are you holding me back?" Before the receptionist could finish her sentence, she was interrupted. "That's President Hua." "President Hua? Since when did our company have a new President Hua? Why haven't I seen him before?" "Idiot." The colleague rolled her eyes at her colleague. "President Hua is President Su's husband. He's not a leader of our company. Of course you haven't seen him before." "President Su's husband?" The receptionist suddenly realized. "Isn't that the lady boss of our company?" The colleague. "What lady boss? You're a genius." The receptionist didn't notice the subtle change in her colleague's expression. After pondering for a moment, she suddenly seemed to recall something. She raised her head and looked at her colleague suspiciously. "That can't be right. If he's not a leader of our company and has never been here before, how do you know him?" The colleague responded by rolling her eyes again. "Even if you don't know anything, you still have to surf the internet. President Su and her husband are a very popular couple on the internet." "Is that so?" The receptionist was shocked. Did her boss have fans these days? However, it didn't seem impossible given their good looks. The colleague was trying her best to convince the receptionist that she had been following for a long time. However, she suddenly saw a strange man rushing in from outside the company. Just like Hua Qinhuan, he wanted to rush upstairs. Alarm bells went off in her head. "Sir, how can I help you?" Zheng Qianyang hurriedly asked. "Is President Su here?" "Yes. I think so. Do you have an appointment?" The three of them stared at each other and the atmosphere became a little awkward. Zheng Qianyang glanced at the two young ladies who were old enough to be his daughters. He asked stiffly and awkwardly, "If I didn't tell you that I'm her uncle, would you believe me?" The two girls looked at each other and said at the same time, "Ha!" When Hua Qinhuan barged in, Su Yiyan was hesitating about how to tell her brother about this. The sudden appearance of her big cutie really gave her a fright. "Why are you here?" "I heard from them that you were almost kidnapped. How could I not come and take a look?" "Are you hurt?" Hua Qinhuan took a step forward and held Su Yiyan's hand tightly. She examined her carefully from head to toe. He felt that it was not enough and wanted to take her to the hospital for a checkup. Su Yiyan was touched and amused at the same time. "Didn't they tell you clearly? It's just that I was almost fine, but those people. That's only a little." "If there were more people or if there were fewer people around you?" Before Hua Qinhuan could finish her words, her face darkened. Su Yiyan knew that he was panicking because of his concern. She wanted to say something to comfort him, but the phone on the table suddenly rang. Su Yiyan looked at Hua Qinhuan comfortingly and picked up the phone. "What's the matter?" "President Su, there's a man downstairs who claims to be your uncle. He wants to go upstairs to see you, but he doesn't have an appointment. Do you think?" Before the receptionist could finish speaking, Su Yiyan heard a familiar voice on the other end of the phone. "Yin, I'm blocked by your company's receptionist downstairs and can't go up. Can you get someone to come down and pick me up?" Su Yiyan. Chapter 936. Su Yiyan confirmed Zheng Qianyang's identity and asked the receptionist to let him upstairs. Then, she hung up the phone and glanced at Hua Qinhuan with a subtle expression. Even her uncle was stuck downstairs and couldn't come up. How did this guy get up here? Could it be? Zheng Qianyang came up very quickly. The receptionist was worried that he wouldn't be able to find the place, so she kindly led him to the top floor and pointed him in the right direction before leaving. It was considered atonement for her mistake. As soon as Zheng Qianyang entered the door, he couldn't help but sigh. "The receptionist of your company is really conscientious. I tried so hard to persuade her in every possible way. My mouth was almost broken, but she didn't listen. She almost called the security guard to arrest me." Su Yiyin couldn't help but laugh at the thought of that scene. She explained on behalf of her company's receptionist, "They must have been frightened by what happened this morning. They are more cautious than usual." Then she suddenly looked at Huo Chenhuan and changed the topic. She teased, "Our company's receptionist is so conscientious that she let you up." Zheng Qianyang finally realized that the receptionist had only stopped him and not Huo Chenhuan. Could it be that they look at age to stop people? Huo Chenhuan glanced at him and mercilessly said, "It could also be that they look at appearance." Zheng Qianyang? This unlucky nephew of his can't be any more. Su Yiyin listened to the conversation between the two and smiled slightly. She glanced at the screen at the side and saw that a few girls in her company's small group chat were trying their best to promote her and her husband as a couple. Su Yiyin narrowed her eyes and secretly added in her heart, "It seems that he relied on his identity as the boss's husband to get up here." Ahem. Zheng Qianyang was injured by his nephew's straight shot. He had to use a roundabout way to save himself. "Let's not talk about this. What's going on with Yan Yan?" Chen Huan received the call and ran away without saying anything. "I saw that something was wrong with his expression, so I was worried and followed him here." Hearing Zheng Qianyang's words, Su Yiyin subconsciously glanced at Huo Chenhuan and said embarrassedly, "There was a small accident when I came over this morning." Before Su Yiyin could finish her words, Huo Chenhuan interrupted her unhappily, "Almost being kidnapped is just a small accident? Kidnapping? Who did it?" Zheng Qianyang's expression changed slightly. He immediately thought of that group of people. "Should be Dou Tianyi." "Dou Tianyi? That brat from the Dou family?" Zheng Qianyang frowned. "Why did he kidnap you?" "He has a rare blood disease and wants me to help him recuperate. He beat around the bush and said that he wants to cooperate with our company. I refused, but I think there's something wrong with his brain. He can't understand human language." Before this, Su Yiyin still had some subtle sympathy for Dou Tianyi. But under the other party's various tricks, her little sympathy had been completely wiped out and turned into strong disgust. Huo Chenhuan heard Su Yiyin's disgust for someone, and his expression became a little better. But when he thought of what happened today, it was difficult to get rid of his anger. "I don't think there's something wrong with his brain. There's something wrong with his eyes. He dares to brazenly send people to kidnap you. He doesn't take me seriously at all." Su Yiyin knew that Huo Chenhuan wouldn't let it go, but she was also worried that his anger would affect his health. She comforted him in a low voice, Okay, let's not lower ourselves to the same level as this idiot. Besides, I didn't lose anything, did I? The guy who came to kidnap me not only did his nose break but I also stepped on him. I think he won't be able to move for a while." Chapter 937. Huo Chenhuan was not surprised to hear her say that. After all, Su Yiyin had sent Huo Xiaofeng to the hospital on her own. Her glorious history was still vivid in her mind. Although she was a little surprised that she could even beat a thug, it was not to the extent of being shocked. On the contrary, when Zheng Qianyang heard Su Yiyin's words, he stared at Su Yiyin in astonishment and bewilderment, as if he was wondering how a certain someone with a small body that could be blown away by a gust of wind could possibly hit someone. Could it be that the robbers who came to catch them were so weak that they couldn't even beat a weak girl? As soon as this idea popped up, Zheng Qianyang rejected it. If that was the case, how could these small fries get close to Su Yiyin when there were so many people by her side? "Yan, you just said that you broke the nose of the person who wanted to catch you, and stepped on his foot?" "Yes." "Just you alone?" "Yes." While Su Yiyin was embarrassed, she was also worried that Zheng Qianyang would blame the bodyguards who tried their best to protect her. She hurriedly explained, "There were too many people at that time. The number of people on the other side was basically 2 to 3 times that of us. It was already quite impressive that they could stop so many people and only let one person escape. Otherwise, even if I have some skills, I definitely wouldn't be able to escape unscathed like I am now." Zheng Qianyang was also considered a wily old fox. He could tell a lot from Su Yiyin's words. He smiled and asked, "You've practiced with people before?" "I couldn't tell. When I was young, I was always playful and almost got into trouble. My family was worried, so they hired a few masters to teach me some martial arts. It wasn't to beat people up, but to protect myself and strengthen my body. It's just that I've been neglected these years and my martial arts have become rusty, so I didn't help much." Su Yiyin's words were not false. It had been a few years since she had learned these things from others. Although the incident back then had been more daunting than dangerous and hadn't really hurt her, it had almost scared her family out of their wits. After that, Su Yiyin basically had people following her wherever she went. The main reason she learned these things was so that she could have some ability to protect herself when she was alone. If she was not alone, the things she learned would naturally be useless. Especially after she married Huo Chenhuan, the number of people by her side skyrocketed. If something really happened, Huo Chenhuan would help her deal with it. Su Yiyin was happy to be a hands-off boss. She hid behind Huo Chenhuan like a canary. She looked more and more harmless. However, just because they looked harmless didn't mean that they were harmless. The man who had happily ran over to catch her was a realistic example. He had thought that he was an easy bone to chew, but in the end, it was his own teeth that broke. To be able to hold back those people that Chenhuan sect gave you, these people's skills shouldn't be too bad. It's already not easy for you to gain an advantage over them. Especially according to Su Yiyin's words, the other party should have been seriously injured, but she was completely unharmed. There wasn't even a small wound. Even if this outcome was definitely caused by the other party underestimating Su Yiyin because she was a girl, it could be seen that Su Yiyin did have some skills. You just said that your family hired a few masters to teach you these things. What are the names of these masters? Don't think too much. I'm just a little curious. Moreover, there might be someone I know among these people. The premise was that the person was powerful enough and famous enough. Chapter 938. Su Yiyin knew Zheng Qianyang's background, so she didn't think too much about it. After a moment of contemplation, she mentioned the name of the coach she thought was the best, but Zheng Qianyang really did know him. Oh, it's him. Zheng Qianyang let out a long sigh and suddenly understood. Huo Chenhuan frowned slightly. Uncle, you know him? We've met a few times. After the initial surprise, Zheng Qianyang calmed down a lot and looked at Su Yiyin with curiosity and inquiry. After I retired, the higher-ups sent a very good person to take over my job. The person who taught Yin was that person's right-hand man at the time and was very capable in all aspects. I thought that when he got older and accumulated more credits, he would be able to replace that person and become the new leader of my department. Unfortunately, I heard that he was injured during a big mission and couldn't continue to stay there, so he could only retire. Zheng Qianyang's tone of regret when he said this didn't seem to be fake. Obviously, he recognized Su Yiyin's ability as a coach. I didn't expect that your family would be able to get him to teach you. It seems that they put in a lot of effort. Even if that person had retired from the school, it was not something an ordinary person could do if they wanted him to be a coach for a little girl. Su Yiyin smiled. Uncle Xiang and my uncle were brothers who grew up together. Later on, our family moved to another city because of some family matters. Although we didn't keep in touch much, we didn't break off. After Uncle Xiang came back, he partnered with my uncle to start a small business. At that time, my family wanted me to learn something to defend myself, so they found a few old masters to teach me. When my uncle heard about this, he pulled him in as well. Zheng Qianyang laughed. Your family found a few people at once? Uncle Xiang alone can take on a group of people. I think so too. Her family didn't know much about whether the people they found were professional or not. At that time, her family was very worried about her. Hiring a coach could be said to be an act of desperation. Most of the people they found were embroidered with embroidery. Of course, there were 2 or 3 people who had some real skills, but compared to Uncle Xiang, these people were inevitably at a disadvantage. How is he now? It's pretty good. Uncle Xiang's family background is not bad. Later on, he cooperated with my brother to start a small business. A few years ago, he got married and had a child. Now his family is living quite happily. That's good. After entering that department, many people had already given up on life and death. It was just that as they got older, they inevitably wanted to settle down. And among these people, there was no lack of people like Zheng Qianyang, who were worried about being hunted down by their enemies and implicating others, or worried that they might not be able to return at any time and waste others' time, so they remained single. It might not be a bad thing for a certain someone to retire early, get married, have children, and have a small family of his own. However, Zheng Qianyang turned his head and looked at Huo Chenhuan sympathetically. His expression was complicated. Silly nephew, your wife's martial arts skills are so high. If the two of you have a conflict in the future and get into a fight, I'm afraid you won't be able to beat your wife. You'll only be beaten. Huo Chenhuan received her uncle's caring little gaze and almost immediately saw through his little thoughts. The corner of her mouth twitched slightly. She thought to herself, not to mention that he goes along with Su Yiyin in family matters, it's impossible for him to quarrel with his wife, let alone fight. Even if that day really comes, Can he really fight back against his wife? He'll definitely be beaten up one-sidedly. It has nothing to do with his wife's martial arts skills. Chapter 939. The leader, who was particularly tough in front of Su Yiyan not long ago, now looked at Liu for help like a frightened bird, and then gathered his courage to say, "I'm sorry boss, the people around Miss Su are too good at fighting. We tried our best but could only hold them back, and we didn't expect Miss Su to be so weak, and her skills are—" Before he finished his words, Do Channy's overly sharp eyes had already chopped over, and the leader was so scared that he shivered and couldn't say a word. "I just want to know the result, not the reason." Cold sweat flowed down from the leader's head, and he said with shame and fear, "I'm sorry boss, we failed." The atmosphere in the room instantly became cold, and the leader's face was as pale as paper. He didn't dare to think about what terrible end he would face. However, to everyone's surprise, Do Channy was silent for a long time after listening to their words, and only replied, "I see, you can go out first. Just let it go?" The leader couldn't believe his ears and almost thought that he had heard wrong. Liu's face darkened when she saw that he didn't know how to leave. She had never seen such a person who didn't know how to read the situation. She had asked him to leave but he still didn't leave. Was he going to stay and burn himself and others? Liu silently drew a cross at this person in her heart and impatiently coughed lightly to remind him of something. The leader was like waking up from a dream. At the same time he was worried that this was the calm before the storm, so he left with a heart full of worries. As soon as Liu saw him leave, she immediately took out the small video that she had prepared earlier and handed it to Do Channy. "Boss, this is the video when they went to find Miss Su today." Do Channy took it but didn't watch it immediately. Instead he asked, "Did they do something to her?" Liu was stunned and couldn't help but wipe a bitter tear for the bodyguards in her heart. The order was to bring her back, but they were not allowed to hurt her. The boss had said it, but the people under him were so bitter that they wanted to scratch the wall. To be precise, it was Miss Su who did it to them. Oh. Do Channy raised his eyebrows and couldn't help but feel a little curious. Su Yiyan did it to them? Was she scratching, biting and scratching? Do Channy couldn't be blamed for thinking that way. Even Zheng Qianyang, who had lived with the Hua family for a while, didn't expect Su Yiyan to be so capable, let alone Do Channy, who had only met Su Yiyan a few times. The result was, of course, beyond Do Channy's expectations. Do Channy looked at the high-spirited woman in the video and couldn't help smiling. He sighed softly. "I didn't expect her to be so good at martial arts." Do Channy's tone was full of surprise and admiration as he said this. Liu's eyes drifted over to the man who was beaten up badly and silently lit a candle for him in her heart. Boss's double standards are always so straightforward, and he doesn't differentiate between friend and foe. Just accept your fate. After watching the video, Do Channy's mood visibly improved. However, what he said sent a chill down Hui Yao's spine. Deal with the people outside. Liu's heart trembled. Boss. It was indeed the calm before the storm. Couldn't they escape? Deal with them cleanly. Do Channy paused as if he had thought of something. He added, I don't want to see them again. Chapter 940. Hua Chenhua noticed Su Yiyan's strange look and asked with concern, What's wrong? You don't look well. It's nothing. Su Yiyan shook her head. I just remembered what he said to me when he came to me last time. Before Hua Chenhua could speak, Zheng Qianyang asked first, What did he say? He said that he just wanted to live. I didn't think too much at that time. Now I understand what he meant after listening to my uncle. That is to say, the rumor back then is true? His health, is it really so bad? I don't know if he can only live to 30 years old. But his health is really not good. I've seen him twice. His face is very pale and he is short of breath. I guess he can't even stand for a long time. It seems that he is not well enough in the womb and has been sick for a long time. He hasn't been well. Zheng Qianyang sighed when he heard this. The rumor was spread when he was just born. Not long after, the news disappeared. His father must have asked someone to keep it a secret to protect him. But no matter how rich his father is, he still can't buy back his health. That's right. But from another point of view, if his family doesn't have money, I'm afraid he can't live until now. Zheng Qianyang frowned slightly. He had to admit that Su Yiyan's words were reasonable. Hua Chenhuan's face was a little ugly. It was okay if he just wanted to cure Do Channy's illness. But it was obvious that he wanted Su Yiyan to save his life. Before coming, Hua Chenhuan had imagined countless ways to attack Do Channy. He could suppress the companies under the doors, let people take away their big orders again and again, and design to break their capital chain. He could even arrange people to enter Do Chaney's companies and instigate the company's executives to be dissatisfied with Do Chaney. From the inside he could disintegrate Do Chaney's power bit by bit. But now he could not help but wonder if Do Chaney really cared about these things. Would a person who had been sentenced to death by a doctor and had less than 2 years to live really care about these worldly possessions? No one knew better than Huo Chenhuan how terrifying a person who was at the end of his rope and could not see any hope could be when he went mad. Some time ago he only came to say a few words. Today he dared to snatch her away in public. After a while, wouldn't he come to their house and snatch her away? Except for the outlaws who had killed her parents and Huo Chihan, this was the first time Huo Chenhuan had such a strong desire to kill someone. Su Yiyan sensed something and turned her head to look. When she saw her man's gloomy face, she guessed what he was thinking. This time Su Yiyan did not comfort him. Instead, she reached out to hold Huo Chenhuan's hand. She knew what Huo Chenhuan was worried about. Do Chaney was crazy. No one could predict what such a crazy person would do. But it did not matter. She could not predict Do Chaney, but it did not mean that she could not predict another person. Thinking of the information that Xia Junxing had sent to her not long ago in the folder, Su Yiyan smiled slightly. She already had a preliminary idea in her heart. On the other side, the few people who failed to complete the task inevitably ushered in a disaster. Failed? Do Chaney's pale and thin knuckles tapped on the table. Although it did not make any sound, it made everyone in the room feel nervous. Chapter 941. The leader, who had been particularly tough in front of Su Yiyan not long ago, looked at Liu helplessly like a bird startled by the twang of a bow. Only then did he muster up the courage to say, "I'm sorry, boss. The people following Miss Su are too good at fighting. We tried our best but could only hold them back. Moreover, we didn't expect Miss Su to be so weak. Her skills are also..." Before he could finish speaking, Do Chaney's excessively sharp gaze had already slashed over. The man was so frightened that he trembled and couldn't say a word. "I only want to know the result. I don't want to hear the reason." Cold sweat flowed down the leader's head. He said in shame and fear, "I'm sorry, boss. We failed." The atmosphere in the room instantly turned cold. The leader's face was as white as paper. He didn't dare to imagine what kind of terrible end he was about to face. However, to everyone's surprise, Do Chaney was silent for a while after listening to their words. He only replied, "Got it? You can leave first. Just let it go?" The leader couldn't believe his ears. He almost thought that he had heard wrongly. Liu saw that he was standing there in a daze and didn't know how to leave. Her face also darkened. She had never seen such a tactless person. She had already asked him to leave, but he still didn't leave. Was he planning to stay and burn others? Liu silently crossed out this person in her heart. She coughed impatiently and reminded him. Only then did this person wake up from his dream. At the same time, he was worried that this was the calm before the storm. He left with a lot on his mind. As soon as Liu saw him leave, she immediately took out a small video that she had prepared and handed it to Do Chaney. "Boss, this is the video of them looking for Miss Su today." Do Chaney took it but didn't look at it immediately. Instead he asked, "Did they make a move on her?" Liu was stunned. She couldn't help but wipe away bitter tears for the bodyguards in her heart. The order was to bring her back, but they were not allowed to hurt her. The boss had spoken, but the subordinates were so bitter that they wanted to scratch the wall. To be precise, it was Miss Su who attacked them. Oh. Do Chaney raised his eyebrows. He couldn't help but feel curious. Did Su Yiyan attack them? Could it be that he was scratching and biting? Do Chaney could not be blamed for thinking this way. Even Zheng Qianyang, who had lived in the family Hua for a while, did not expect Su Yiyan to be so capable, let alone Do Chaney, who had only met Su Yiyan a few times. The result was, of course, beyond Do Chaney's expectations. Do Chaney's lips unconsciously curled up as he looked at the high-spirited person in the video. He sighed, "I didn't expect her skills to be so good." When Do Chaney said this, his tone was filled with the surprise and admiration of discovering a treasure. Liu's gaze faintly drifted over to the beaten man. She silently lit a candle for him in her heart. The boss's double standards were always so straightforward, and he didn't distinguish between friend and foe. Just accept your fate. After watching the video, Do Chaney's mood visibly improved. However, the words he said sent a chill down her spine. Deal with those people outside. Li Yu's heart trembled. Boss. Sure enough, it was the calm before the storm. Was there no escape? Deal with them cleanly. Dou Qianyi paused. He seemed to have thought of something and added, I don't want to see them again. Chapter 942. He just didn't want to see them anymore? Li Yu's mind flashed and he quickly understood what Dou Qianyi meant. He was surprised by his soft-heartedness. Normally his boss wouldn't be so easy to talk to and he wouldn't explain so much. Was this change because of Miss Su? Li Yu had mixed feelings. He couldn't tell if Dou Qianyi's change was good or bad. Just as he was at a loss, the phone suddenly rang, waking Li Yu from his daze. Dou Qianyi glanced at him and said mercifully, Go do your work. Li Yu hurriedly responded. He picked up the phone and walked out, but when he was about to step out of the door, he suddenly stopped and turned to look at Dou Qianyi with a strange expression. Boss? Dou Qianyi raised his head to look at him as if he had sensed something. What happened? It's about Miss Wen Jinping? Dou Qianyi had almost forgotten about this person. Now that he heard Li Yu mention her, his face darkened and he said coldly, What happened to her? It's like this, It turned out that half an hour ago, there was a series of explosive news on the internet, such as, Wen Jinping stepped in with a married man and became a mistress, a powerful veteran in the industry had an affair with an actress in the same production team, and his wife doting image collapsed. In order to increase the credibility of the news, many media outlets released many intimate photos of Wen Jinping and Ding Jueisi as evidence. It didn't take long for it to become a hot topic on the internet, and everyone knew about it. Both of them were artists under high art. Ding Jueisi had relied on his wife's connections and the image of a wife-doting husband to develop very well. It could be said that he had gained both fame and fortune. Now he was considered one of the pillars of high art. The sudden exposure of such a scandal had a great impact on high art. After Ding Jueisi's manager saw the news on the internet, he immediately found someone to do public relations. However, when the public relations department saw that the people who caused the trouble were Ding Jueisi and Wen Jinping, they immediately found out. Considering the ambiguous attitude of the company's senior management towards Wen Jinping, the department head hesitated for a moment before taking the initiative to call Li Yu to inform her of the situation. When Li Yu heard about this, she felt that although her boss had a new lover, and his attitude towards Wen Jinping's old lover was not as good as before, it was better to be safe than sorry. Dou Qianyi listened to Li Yu's words and looked at the latest trending topics. Sure enough, their scandal was at the top of the list. Dou Qianyi narrowed his eyes, a little angry. He was not angry that the two of them had been exposed. Instead, he was angry that the two of them had dared to cause him such trouble in his own company and had asked his company to clean up the mess. Are you being pressed down by someone? I did, but... Li Yu looked troubled. But the people over there said that someone is manipulating this matter behind the scenes and they can't suppress it. Someone is manipulating this matter behind the scenes. Dou Qianyi pondered for a moment and quickly felt that something was wrong. Li Yu stood beside Dou Qianyi. She thought that Dou Qianyi would definitely be angry when she said this. Unexpectedly, not only was he not angry, but he suddenly smiled and said, When a kitten is provoked, it will also bite. Li Yu was confused. Kitten? What kitten? Assistant Li, who was slow to react, took some time to realize that there was a hint of helplessness and doting in a certain someone's tone when he said this. She could not help but tremble. Chapter 943. Just as the two of them had expected, Su Yiyan was the one who released the news and refused to let anyone suppress it. Previously, when Su Yiyan was surfing the internet, she accidentally found out that He Xiaofeng had been cuckolded. She was so angry that she found a group of hooligans to humiliate Wen Jinping. Unexpectedly, Wen Jinping had hooked up with a married man who was a bootlicker. Just in case, Su Yiyan specially asked Xia Junxing to find someone to keep an eye on the two of them to see if they would still be together behind their wives' and children's backs like in the original work. In the end, Su Yiyan guessed correctly. After the hero saves the beauty incident, Ding Jueisi and Wen Jinping had contact and became familiar with each other not long after. It was unknown whether the power of the original work's plot was too strong or Wen Jinping's ability to seduce people was too high. Ding Jueisi was an old senior, who had been in the entertainment industry for many years. Logically speaking, he should have more or less heard of Wen Jinping's love affairs. However, he didn't seem to mind these at all. Within a few days he was in full swing with Wen Jinping. After that, in less than a week he recommended her to be in a TV series that he was filming. Although Wen Jingping didn't get an important supporting role that could prove her acting skills like in the original work, she still got a small supporting role from Ding Juecy. This was a life-saving straw for Wen Jingping, who had been shelved since the Empress finished filming. Wen Jingping didn't reject Ding Juecy's olive branch. The next morning she happily joined the crew and began to spend time with Ding Juecy day and night. Occasionally they would read the script together. From the information submitted by Xia Junxing, Ding Juecy was more restrained when he first invited Wen Jingping to join the crew. He basically interacted with Wen Jingping in public, and he always held the script in his hands when he spoke. The image of the diligent and studious newcomer and the responsible senior who explained the script to the newcomer was flawless, and no one could find any fault with it. However, there would always be times when people let their guard down. Soon, the two of them crossed the line between senior and junior and began to interact frequently in the dressing room, the fitting room, and even the hotel room of both parties. Xia Junxing had sent a professional paparazzi to follow the two of them. It was almost to the point of being pervasive. Those who were sneaky and cautious could be photographed by him, not to mention these two people who could see that something was wrong. Su Yiyan did not intend to reveal this matter so early, but who asked Do Qianni to make her unhappy? If the male lead made her unhappy, she would mess with the female lead. In any case, they were now considered one entity, so there was nothing wrong with that. Wen Jingping didn't know that her calamity was caused by the King of Hell's attack, and she, a little demon, was the one who suffered. Seeing that her career finally had a chance to make a comeback, Wen Jingping was suddenly hit by reality. She was in a bad mood. She could only cry and run to the other protagonist to complain. Brother Ding, how could this be? We clearly didn't do anything. How can these people slander us without any basis? Now that things have turned out like this, how can I face people in the future? Wen Jingping cried like a pear blossom in the rain, and Ding Juecy's heart ached as expected. Don't worry. These reporters and the big influencers are all like this. For some traffic they can distort the truth and say anything. I've already contacted my agent and asked him to find a company to help with public relations. It will be fine soon. Just like you said, we didn't do anything. The innocent will be innocent. Nothing will happen. Chapter 944. Just like in the original novel, Ding Juecy was indeed having an affair with Wen Jingping. Especially since Wen Jingping was still single, unlike the original novel where she had been with Hua Xiaofeng for a long time. This gave Ding Juecy a good reason to pursue his true love. His attitude toward Wen Jingping was much warmer than in the original novel. However, Wen Jingping had only been using Ding Juecy from the beginning to the end. How could she have a substantive relationship with him? Every time Ding Juecy hinted at her, Wen Jingping would try her best to reject him, but she would not hurt Ding Juecy's self-esteem. She would keep him at arm's length. This made Ding Juecy mistakenly think that she was avoiding him and keeping a distance from him because she was worried about his identity as a married man. Wen Jingping's backup plan was very successful. Not only did she not push Ding Juecy away, but she also made him even more obsessed with Wen Jingping. Ding Juecy's heart melted when he saw Wen Jingping crying so miserably. He wished he could pull her into his arms and dote on her. A bold idea appeared in his mind. Don't worry. I'm here. It'll be fine. Yes, I believe in Brother Ding. Wen Jingping looked at Ding Juecy with reddened eyes, which made Ding Juecy want to protect her. Just as he was about to say something to comfort her, an urgent ringtone suddenly rang. Ding Juecy glanced at the name displayed on the screen, and his expression changed slightly. He said apologetically, "Don't worry. The company and I will handle this. You just stay on set and don't go anywhere. I still have something to deal with. I'll leave for a while. I'll be back soon to accompany you." Okay. Ding Juecy left in a hurry. Wen Jingping instantly stopped crying. She looked in the direction he left and sneered, "His wife." An unfamiliar and rigid mechanical voice suddenly sounded. Yes. Calling him back at this time must be because of the online incident. Wen Jingping suddenly changed the topic and said coldly, "Have you found out who released those things? Searching for the mastermind requires a certain amount of points. The host's current points are not enough to activate this function. Please complete the mission as soon as possible to obtain points." Wen Jingping's face darkened. She was so angry that she wanted to drag out the so-called system in her mind and give it a good beating. This system called the Source of the World had suddenly found Wen Jingping when she was driven out of the Dou family by Li Yu. At that time, Wen Jingping had been frightened, but more than that, she was ecstatic. She had read countless system novels, so how could she not know that those who were chosen by the system were almost always the chosen ones? Sure enough, the heavens didn't let her transmigrate just to let her be ordinary. Wen Jingping quickly accepted the existence of the system and tried to use it to change her fate. However, things did not go as smoothly as Wen Jingping had imagined. She needed to complete missions and earn points to be able to exchange for goods in the system. But because of all the things that had happened before, Wen Jingping's reputation had been ruined to a certain extent, making it difficult for her to complete the missions given by the system. Wen Jingping had spent a lot of effort to get a few points. She had used all of them to increase her charm. In any case, she had grabbed hold of Ding Juesi, this life-saving straw, which gave her some buffer time. However, Wen Jingping was obviously not satisfied with this. The probability shows that the male supporting lead is very likely to divorce his wife after returning. Wen Jingping's face darkened. She sneered, "Divorce is divorce. What does it have to do with me?" Chapter 945. The mechanical voice in her mind was silent for a few seconds before speaking again. After the divorce, there is a high probability that he will come to the host to ask for a relationship. Wen Jingping's face completely darkened, and the coldness and resentment in her eyes became more and more obvious. If he wants to date me, then I'll date him. Does he really think that I'm a mistress who will come and go as he pleases? I've never said that I want to date him. Who can he blame if he misunderstood me? From the beginning, Wen Jingping didn't plan to have any relationship with this old man who was one round older than her. Ding Juesi was just a stepping stone to help her climb up. When she found someone else to rely on, this stepping stone would naturally lose its value and could be discarded. Wen Jingping had always been very clear about what she wanted. After entering the set, she had set her eyes on the male lead of this drama, Yin Jihong. Yin Jihong was the most favored young master of the Yin family, an acting family. His grandfather's generation was quite famous in the entertainment industry. His parents, as the second generation of stars, had lived under the spotlight since he was young. He also inherited his grandparents' acting talent and became a senior that many people looked up to. Yin Jihong was the most talented and the most favored child in the entire family. After entering the entertainment industry, everything had been smooth sailing, and no one dared to provoke him. Even Ding Juesi, who was a well-known actor in the entertainment industry, could only be a supporting actor in front of Yin Jihong. Wen Jingping set her eyes on Yin Jihong because he was good-looking and was about the same age as her. Secondly, she took a fancy to his family background. Although the Yin family wasn't as rich as the CEOs of large companies, the connections they had accumulated in the entertainment industry were not something that ordinary people could compare to. If she could get on this big boat, she wouldn't have to worry about not having a foothold in the entertainment industry in the future. However, the key was that after she entered the set, she had hinted at this young master countless times, but he refused to take her words. Although he didn't find trouble with her or show any disgust or rejection, he also didn't show any kindness to her. He didn't even say a word to her. Basically, he only treated her as an insignificant and invisible person. Thinking of this, Wen Jingping was full of anger. Is there a problem with the things you provided? Why are they fine when used on Ding Juesi, but not on Yin Jihong? Could it be that this thing was divided into different people? You're not trying to fool me, are you? Host, be careful with your words. According to the data, Ding Juesi's family background is far inferior to Yin Jihong's. He is considered a beginner cannon fodder. The difficulty of capturing him is low, and he is greatly affected by the female lead's halo. Yin Jihong, on the other hand, belongs to the reserve of the main supporting male role. The difficulty of defeating him is high and the influence of the female lead's aura is low. The host needs to accumulate more points to exchange for more items to facilitate defeating him. What the system didn't say was that the gray wing didn't bite a flawless egg. Ding Juesi was this fly. Wen Jingping was young and beautiful. She took the initiative to come to him. Plus, with the support of the items exchanged by the system, it was naturally not difficult to capture him. However, Yin Jihong was different. He was born into a scholarly family. Although he was extremely spoiled at home, his upbringing was very good. He liked capable, independent, and strong girls. He was the complete opposite of Wen Jingping, who was a weak white lotus. If Wen Jingping wanted to capture him, she would have to exchange for high-level items in the system. Only then would it be possible to blind his eyes and make him have a good impression of Wen Jingping, who had completely different preferences from him. In the end, Wen Jingping was not his cup of tea. If she wanted to capture this person, the only way was to rely on the system. Chapter 946. Unfortunately, she had no idea at all. Even the system wanted to pry open her head to see what was inside. In addition, I would like to remind the host that according to the host's previous choice, the world's male lead has been changed to Do Qianni. Even if the host tries to woo Yin Jihong, he can only be regarded as a backup male supporting character. The main target is still Do Qianni. I hope the host understands. It would have been better if the system did not mention this. Once it did, Wen Jingping almost exploded on the spot again. Do Qianni? Didn't I say it before? I didn't know about this at all. What changing the world's male lead? What male lead or supporting male lead? They didn't even remind me and decided on my own. How could they say that it was my choice? I never had a choice. Besides, do you think Do Qianni has any feelings for me? It'd be better for you guys to choose an old man like Ding Juxi as the male lead than him. When the system first appeared, it had already mentioned to Wen Jingping about the world's male lead. Wen Jingping found out that the original male lead of this world was Hua Xiaofeng. However, after she chose to leave Hua Xiaofeng and seek protection from Do Qianni, the male lead was inexplicably replaced by Do Qianni. She felt terrible. If she had known that her momentary lapse in judgment would cause her to fall into such an embarrassing situation, Wen Jingping would never have left Hua Xiaofeng in such a resolute manner and jumped from one fire pit to another. The most annoying thing was that this male lead role could only be changed once. She had already used it up, so she was destined to be tied to Do Qianni for the rest of her life. Otherwise, she would not be able to truly seize the fate of the world. Wen Jingping shuddered as she recalled that man's callousness and how she had been humiliated by Li Yu near the Do residence. She said hysterically, "No, you have to help me change it. Change it to Yin Jihong. Yes, change it to him. You said it yourself, I'm the female lead of this world and I have the world's fate. My words are imperial edicts and you have to change them now. This is how the world's consciousness is and the system cannot change it. Host, please do not make things difficult for the system." The tone of the system's reply already had some impatience. It also didn't expect that it had only made a little mistake and arrived a little later than expected. This stupid world's female lead actually broke off with the male lead to the point that they wouldn't rest until one of them was dead. She even activated the world's protection mechanism to automatically change the male lead. In its opinion, the current situation was completely caused by Wen Jingping herself. Difficult? You can't even do such a small thing, and you say I'm making things difficult for you? Wen Jingping was going crazy. You can't do this and you can't do that. What's the use of you? When you first appeared, you said that you could help me solve all my problems, make everyone like me and make everyone pay the price for going against me? And the result? You can't do anything. I've never seen a system as useless as you. As soon as Wen Jingping's words came out, the system was very angry. As the most advanced system, the things it could do were definitely beyond the imagination of this paperman world. It was helpless that it was bound to a fake and brainless host. She didn't do a good task but went around looking for trouble. It had to face all kinds of Azura battlefields as soon as it was in place. A certain someone didn't have enough points to exchange for items in the system store. She didn't blame it for being useless, but she actually dared to push the blame to it. Even though it was just an emotionless AI, the system had a rare hint of human anger in it. Chapter 947. The host is also the least charming host that the system has ever encountered. Even though the other hosts needed to borrow the power of the system to climb higher and gain the favor of more people, they would still have one or two shining points. They could also attract some people by themselves. Unlike Wen Jingping, who could be said to be a good person but was not a good person at the same time. She could be said to be a bad person but did not have the guts to do so. She was not evil enough. She had ambition but did not have the brains to match her ambition. If it were not for the fact that the female lead of the world could not be changed and that it had to be tied to the female lead of the world to survive, the system would have quit long ago. One person and one system despised each other. Instead of saying that they were working together, it was more like they had no choice but to bind each other. Facts proved that although Wen Jingping's system was not human, it understood people's hearts very well. After Ding Juxi received a call from his wife and returned home, he had a big argument with her. In a fit of anger, he proposed a divorce. Unexpectedly, his wife, who was originally hysterical and wanted to tear Ding Juxi and his mistress apart, calmed down when she heard that he wanted a divorce. Looking at her husband who had been with her for more than 10 years, she felt that it was the first time she saw his true colors. She sneered and said, "You want a divorce? Okay, then we'll get a divorce. You'll leave with nothing. The 2 children will be mine." Ding Juesi did not expect his wife to agree so readily. However, he was the one who proposed the divorce first. Even if his wife agreed, he could not back down even if he was unwilling. He could not put down his dignity as a man and go back on his word at this time. But soon he was angered by the meaning of his wife's words. Leave with nothing? Why should I leave with nothing? We've been married for so many years. I've been working hard outside to earn money to support the family. The money I brought back was basically handed over to you. Do you think there are any other men who can do that? What's there to be dissatisfied with? Now that you want a divorce, you want me to leave with nothing? I think you're simply trying to force me to death. What? Because you betrayed me, betrayed our family, and had an ambiguous relationship with an outside woman. How many times have I explained it to you? I have nothing to do with her. It's just that we're juniors in the same production team. If she has anything she doesn't understand, she can ask me. I can't take advantage of my seniority and ignore her, right? You have nothing to do with the juniors in the same production team? Do you really think that I don't know anything about what happened outside and let you spout nonsense? With every sentence, Mrs. Ding took a step forward. She said aggressively but clearly, "It doesn't matter. Would you be so kind as to save the beauty in the middle of the night? You personally brought her to the hospital for a checkup and carefully booked a hotel for her to stay." Ding Juesi's expression changed slightly as he looked at his wife in surprise. When he was photographed that day, the media only reported that he was the hero who saved the damsel in distress. They did not mention anything about the follow-up arrangements. How did his wife know? Ding Juesi suddenly had an ominous premonition in his heart. However, it was already too late when he realized that something was wrong. Seeing that his wife was getting more and more excited, Ding Juesi subconsciously retorted, "I was just acting bravely for a just cause. I pitied her." Chapter 948. After being married for so many years, you've been working hard outside to earn money to support the family? You make it sound like I don't have any money on hand and need you to support me. Ding Juesi, have you forgotten who you relied on to get to where you are today? If it weren't for my dad and my brother who used their own connections to help you get a bunch of high-end resources for my sake, do you really think that you can get to where you are now with your talent and ability? Do you really think that you can get so many jobs that you feel hard work with just your talent? You would have been trampled under the feet of the artistes in the same period and starved to death. Although Mrs. Ding became a housewife after marrying Ding Juesi, she stayed at home to take care of her husband and children. However, she was a rich young lady who had been pampered by her family since she was young. Not to mention the company shares that her parents had transferred to her when she got married, the annual dividends alone were enough to match the contract money that Ding Juesi had worked hard to earn for more than half a year. Even if she occasionally bought a few stocks in her free time, the money she earned was more than what Ding Juesi earned from taking on a job. She didn't need to spend any of Ding Juesi's money at all. On the other hand, after marrying her, Ding Juesi used his wife's family's connections to pull in a lot of investments and high-end endorsements for himself. If one really counted, it was basically Ding Juesi's gain. And now, this beneficiary was actually making a false accusation and crying about his difficulties? As for taking back the money you earned and handing it over to me for safekeeping, did I beg you to do it? It was clearly you who said sweet words back then that you took so much advantage of my family and married such a treasure like me. You felt bad and begged me to help you take care of it. Now, you actually have the face to brag about your contributions to this family and make it seem like I'm bullying you? Do you really think that you're a peerless good man just because you've established a peerless good man outside? You're so touched that you don't even know if you're worthy. You. It was the first time Ding Juesi had heard such sharp words from his usually demure and dignified wife. His face was livid. Do you have to say such harsh words? If you think those words are harsh, then don't do such shameful things and talk so much disgusting nonsense. What? Wasn't what I said just now the truth? Ding Juesi choked because what his wife said was indeed the truth, and sometimes the truth was so hurtful. Mrs. Ding saw the resentment and even hatred in Ding Juesi's eyes and suddenly felt like laughing. When she was in love, she always felt that this person was good in every way. He was gentle and elegant, generous in his speech, kind to others, and knew how to dote on others. Now that she knew that he was not what he appeared to be, she realized that his so-called gentleness was nothing more than vanity and his so-called elegance was nothing more than cowardice. The so-called doting could be doting on you, but it could also be doting on others. It was a very universal love. Since you feel that it's hard for you to do so much outside work, fine. From today onwards, I'll inform my subordinates that they don't need to trouble themselves to help you pull in resources. In any case, I'm going to divorce you. From now on, we'll part ways and never see each other again. Even if I have nothing to do with you, my family is the same. My father and brother won't give you any more help. You're on your own now. Madame Ding's words were like knives that stabbed into Ding Juexi's heart. Ding Juexi realized that this matter had started to exceed his expectations. He opened his mouth and wanted to say something, but he realized that his wife had already started to pack her luggage. Ding Juexi was shocked. What are you doing? Chapter 949. If I move away and live under the same roof as you, I'll have goosebumps all over my body. I'll take the 2 children away. This house was written in our names before. After that, I'll get someone to sell it. We'll split it in half. It can be considered as fulfilling the last bit of our relationship as husband and wife. Mrs. Ding had thought about it from the beginning. When they got married, they would split the money in half. At that time, Ding Juexi's career was not as prosperous as it was now, and he had limited money on hand. He could not afford this entire house at all. It was not that Mrs. Ding had not thought of buying this house in full. She was just worried that this would hurt Ding Juexi's self-esteem, so she settled for the next best thing. The 2 of them would split the money in half and buy each other's wedding house. Because of the disparity in their family backgrounds, Mrs. Ding had been very careful and worked hard to manage their marriage all these years. In the end, her years of affection were only exchanged for such a cold return. Mrs. Ding's heart was extremely cold. When the sweetness of the past had all turned into knives that cut flesh, the best way was to cut off the threads of love and stop the loss in time. However, she did not give in at this time because she wanted to help this scumbag in front of her and his women outside. Apart from leaving the house with nothing, Madame Ding felt indescribably disgusted at the thought that Ding Juexi might bring those women into this house after she left with her child. It was better to sell the house directly. From the family to the assets, they would be divided cleanly. They would give it to anyone but these dogs. Of course, the premise is that you cooperate. I'll get someone to send you the divorce agreement after that. Think about what I said just now. After you think about it, sign it. If you don't sign it, we'll meet in court. My lawyer will be waiting for you at any time. Mrs. Ding was nimble and did not lack money. She did not bring any worthless things with her and was prepared to get someone to clean them up after that. In just a few minutes, Mrs. Ding carried a small bag and was about to leave with the 2 children and the nanny. Ding Juexi stood at the side as if he had not recovered from his wife's neat and tidy handling. It was not until he saw the 2 children that he seemed to have finally found his voice. He asked hoarsely, "Do you really have to be so ruthless?" Mrs. Ding was so angry that she laughed. "You're the one who forced me to be ruthless. Don't you think about the children's feelings? If you move out now, what will people say about me? I am their father. If others laugh at me, they will naturally laugh at them. Do you have the heart to let them lose their father at such a young age and be looked down upon by the people around them at such a young age?" When couples quarreled, divorced, and wanted to reconcile, they loved to bring up their children. Generally speaking, children were a woman's weakness. As long as she used this trump card, she would be in an invincible position. However, Ding Juexi's plan was destined to fail. Hearing his words, Mrs. Ding did not change her mind. Instead, she became even more determined. "So you also know that others will laugh at your child when they laugh at you. Why didn't you think about me and our child when you did those dirty things? Now you want to kidnap me with a child? Do you think you're worthy? The marriage must be divorced. I don't want my child to live with a hypocritical, filthy, and disloyal man. You know what you did is wrong, but you don't have to be punished. When you grow up, you will learn from you and harm other little girls." Chapter 950. Ding Juexi was completely humiliated by his wife. While he was angry, he still tried to defend himself. "You're going overboard. How many times have I told you that there's really nothing between her and I? September 2nd the year before last, October 9th last year, and half a year ago at XX Hotel?" Ding Juexi's expression became uglier and uglier when he heard his wife spew out a bunch of seemingly irrelevant words like a machine gun. He looked at his wife with an uneasy and fearful gaze. Mrs. Ding saw the change in his expression, and the ridicule on her face became even more intense. "You're not unfamiliar with what I'm saying, right? This is only in the past few years. I don't even dare to think about how many people you've looked for before. Fortunately, I have a physical examination every month. Otherwise, I'm worried that I'll accidentally contract some disgusting disease." Ding Juexi's face turned green and white. He was speechless for a long time. Mrs. Ding asked the nanny to take the children away first. Then she sneered. "Do you really think that I don't know anything and am not prepared to tell you this? If you obediently sign the divorce agreement and leave the marriage with nothing, we'll part on good terms. For the past 10 years, I'll treat it as if I was bitten by a dog and used it to give birth to 2 children. If you want to make a scene, I happen to be angry too. Let's shed all pretense of cordiality and see who will lose their reputation." Mrs. Ding straightforwardly threw out a bunch of warnings and turned to leave. She completely ignored how ugly Ding Juexi's expression was behind her. Ding Juexi's image of a loving wife and a good man that he had maintained for so many years collapsed overnight. Many people saw him as a joke. Those reporters were like wild dogs that smelled meat. They stuck to Ding Juexi at any moment, wishing that they could bite off a piece of meat from him. Mrs. Ding had just brought the 2 children back to her parents' house when this matter was exposed. It indirectly confirmed the fact that Ding Juexi had an affair. Xia Junxing had specially hired people to keep an eye on Ding Juexi and Wen Jingping. Therefore they had received the news before anyone else and knew more details than anyone else. Su Yiyan was surprised and impressed when he found out that Mrs. Ding had proposed a divorce with Ding Juexi very neatly. She even took out the evidence of Ding Juexi's infidelity and asked him to leave the marriage with nothing. Otherwise his reputation would be ruined. She felt that this Madame Ding was truly a heroine. She should treat this kind of scumbag as ruthlessly as the autumn wind sweeping away the fallen leaves and not give them any chance. After Su Yiyan remembered the description of Ding Juexi in the original novel, he vaguely felt that this person was not as upright as he appeared to be. While he asked Xia Junxing to send someone to keep an eye on the 2 of them, he also asked someone to investigate Ding Juexi. In the end, he didn't know if he didn't investigate, but he was shocked when he did. It was not a coincidence that Ding Juexi had a mental affair with Wen Jingping. Before this, he had already had a physical affair several times. In order to prevent Mrs. Ding from being deceived by this sanctimonious scum, Su Yiyan asked someone to mail these things to Mrs. Ding on the same day. After Mrs. Ding received it, she didn't seem to have any reaction. Her days went on as usual and she took care of the children as usual. Su Yiyan thought that she had already known about Ding Juexi's affairs outside, but she had endured it for the sake of the children and the family. Who would have thought that she didn't want to endure it? Instead, she had already planned a way out after knowing that she had trusted the wrong person. She had endured it so that she could better collect evidence and wait for the opportunity to give the scumbag a fatal blow. She wanted to kick him out of her world and occupy the moral high ground at the same time. There are indeed not many good men in the Phoenix these days. Chapter 951. Ning Chirui finally came back from the variety show and rushed to Su Yiyan's office immediately. He wanted to talk to Su Yiyan about how she had invited his elder brother to a barbecue party and caused him to starve in the wilderness and suffer from his elder brother's barbecue meal. That was an inhumane tragedy. As a result, he had to deal with such a big melon as soon as he arrived. He was so stunned that he forgot his original purpose for coming here. When he heard Su Yiyan's words, he slowly reacted and muttered in a low voice, "You don't have to blame everyone." Su Yiyan was stunned. She looked up at Ning Chirui and said with a faint smile, "Do you know what it means to be a man with a phoenix? Just take it for granted." Ning Chirui frowned and was a little unconvinced. "I know. Isn't it just a poor guy who marries a wife who is better than him in all aspects? Well, it's not really a marriage. It seems that a large number of people marry into the family." "You're right to understand it that way." Su Yiyan smiled at him. "But the man with a phoenix I'm talking about is obviously relying on his wife to get rich, but he still has high aspirations. He thinks that he is capable and talented, and even if he doesn't rely on his wife, he can still make a career out of it. While enjoying the benefits brought to him by his wife's family, he also has high aspirations and hates the negative impact it brings. He feels that the various conveniences provided by his wife's family are holding him back, causing him to suffer unnecessary criticism and humiliation. This?" Ning Chirui was a little confused by Su Yiyan's explanation. After a long time he muttered, "Is there something wrong with their brains?" Su Yiyan almost couldn't help but laugh out loud. In our eyes there is something wrong with their brains, but in their own eyes, it's reasonable. They take advantage of their wife's family to get promoted step by step. They feel wronged and think that they are such noble people. How can you use money and resources to humiliate me? If you do this, what will people outside think of me? Su Yiyan looked at Ning Qirui's eyes, which had become surprised and panicked at some point, and chuckled. Some people even think that if the tiger doesn't show its power, you really think I'm Hello Kitty. Just you wait until I have a firm foothold in your family. Sooner or later, I will swallow up your family's property. At that time, let's see who dares to look down on me. Ning Qirui was shocked. What kind of terrible and twisted brain circuit was this? Wasn't marrying such a person like her tantamount to inviting a wolf into the house? To put it bluntly, you just don't have the ability and you're still arrogant. He clearly knew that relying on women was embarrassing, but he couldn't resist the temptation of wealth and status. He had enjoyed the joy of being in a high position by relying on a woman. If he wanted to erase his shameful past by relying on a woman, it would be easy for him to resent those who had helped him in the past. Because in their eyes, the existence of these people is a reminder of his disgraceful past. Cutting the flesh of his loved ones, stabbing the knives of the people around him, and then going outside to listen to those who had previously mocked him flatter him in turn to satisfy his selfish and greedy vanity. On the other hand, the woman and her family had contributed money and effort, but they were still resented, hated, and schemed against. They were clearly married, but it was even scarier than becoming enemies. Do you think this kind of person is a good person? No. Ning Qirui hurriedly put his hands into the shape of a propeller. I was wrong. This kind of person is not a good person. Su Yiyan was amused by him. You're right. I just said that there are not many good people. It's not like you're trying to overthrow the whole boat with one pole. Chapter 952. I just think that these people should be more humble. After marrying someone else's daughter, they should take good care of her, not care about the rumors outside, and live a good life as husband and wife. Or they should not rely on the woman's family's help from the beginning. If they feel that they have the ability to climb to a high position and have this ambition, they should rely on their own ability to make a career and work hard to be worthy of the woman. Even if it's hard at first, if you really have the ability, gold will shine sooner or later. When that day comes, who won't sincerely praise you for your ability and praise you for being a golden couple? Su Yiyan did not look down on the poor. On the contrary, she respected and admired those who stuck to the bottom line, had ambition, and relied on their own ability to get out of poverty and become rich. Because such people had no foundation and no background, they had to rely on themselves for everything. The effort and hardship they had to put in was 100 times more than those of the rich. For example, Luo Weibing. He lost his parents when he was young and had a sickly sister. In the face of the heavy pressure of reality and the temptation of sacrificing the bottom line to take a shortcut, he was still able to stick to himself. He relied on his own talent and extraordinary efforts to get to where he was today step by step. After Su Yiyan finished speaking, she glanced at Ning Qirui. The young master of a wealthy family, who had always been well protected, still had a confused expression on his face. She could not help but tease him. What? Do you think I'm wrong? No, you're right. Ning Qirui seemed to wake up from a dream. He touched his nose and said a little guiltily, I just didn't expect Senior Ding to be such a person in private. Senior Ding? Su Yiyan raised her eyebrows and looked surprised. Do you know him? Have you heard of him or met him? Met him. Ning Qirui looked up at Su Yiyan as he spoke, for fear that she would regard him and Ding Juesi as jackals of the same tribe. I met him when I was a guest on a variety show. At that time, Senior Ding was also there. He was the oldest in the group and he took care of us juniors. Oh. Su Yiyan deliberately dragged out her voice, which made Ning Qirui instinctively feel goosebumps on his back. Then have you observed how he treats his agent and assistant? Ning Qirui pondered for a moment as if he really had not noticed. When Su Yiyan saw his expression, he already had an answer. He threw the information that Xia Junxing had just sent to Ning Qirui. Take a look. This is. Ning Qirui picked up the information and flipped through it. He found that it was all evidence of Ding Juesi beating and scolding his assistant and manager, secretly suppressing newcomers, deliberately leading public opinion to expose the artists in the same batch as him, and publicly acting like a big shot in order to tear down resources. Everything was listed very clearly, making it impossible for anyone to help him clear his name. Oh my God. Ning Chirue's jaw dropped. I really couldn't tell that he was such a person in private. You may know a person for a long time without understanding their true nature. Some people's offstage acting skills are always better than on stage. In this world, there was a kind of person who was very good at putting on a facade. In front of outsiders, they were particularly warm, decent, and helpful, but in front of their acquaintances, they would easily beat, scold, and humiliate them if they were unhappy. It's commonly known as bossy in the nest. Ning Chirue was speechless. I think you are quite unreasonable. President Ho must have been bullied by you at home, right? When Xia Junxing came in with another set of information, he heard these words and could not help but laugh out loud. Chapter 953. Su Yiyin coughed lightly and did not continue to scare the innocent young master. She said seriously, "What's the matter?" "This is the newly sent information." Xia Junxing handed the warm information that he had just received to Su Yiyin. Su Yiyin took it and flipped through it slightly. She sneered and said, "This guy really has a lot of dirt on him. You can find a pile of it just by looking around." Su Yiyin said as she threw the information on the table. "Is Hai still trying to suppress it?" "They tried at first, but there's no movement now." Su Yiyin raised her eyebrows slightly. "No movement?" Hai was planning to give up on these two people. "Then what should we do next?" "Mrs. Ding seems to be preparing to divorce Ding Juesi. If we push too hard at this time, it will be easy for her to do something desperate. Let's give Mrs. Ding some face. We'll temporarily withdraw from this and let the media lead the topic to Wen Jingping." Su Yiyin muttered to herself. "If I remember correctly, the drama in which Wen Jingping is the female lead is going to be broadcast soon. On the eve of the broadcast, the female lead sacrificed herself to attract attention for her debut drama. Even if we're rivals with Hai Yi, we have to admit that she's dedicated to her work. How can we not help her?" Wen Jingping was the female lead of the drama in which she was the female lead. Since the audition, she had been trying to gain popularity for another drama in Su Yiyin's company. From the director, casting, to the end of filming, to the review, and even the recent official announcement of the broadcast, she was sticking to her like a dragon. She could not get rid of her. After knowing this, Su Yiyin did not really understand Do Tiany's brain circuit. She was using all kinds of methods to seek cooperation, but at the same time she was trying to provoke her own anger. Did she really think that she was a masochist? However, since someone was in a hurry to court death, Su Yiyin had no reason not to help her. On the eve of the broadcast of the main female lead, the female lead was a mistress of a married man. She was a proper White Lotus and green tea bitch. Not to mention the drama itself, just this point alone was enough to make their drama's reputation plummet. After Su Yiyin finished talking about business with Xia Junxing, she turned around and found that Ning Chirue was still there. "Why are you looking for me?" Ning Chirue glanced at Su Yiyin and hesitated. Su Yiyin saw that he was speechless for a long time and was full of suspicion. However, she said, "Speaking of which, I heard from your brother that you recently received a Chinese medicine appointment and needed to go out for a period of time. You're back?" When Ning Chirue heard Su Yiyin mention his brother, the expression on his face became even more sorrowful. He said pitifully, "Yes, boss, you don't know how crazy that variety show is. Let's go to the place where you lied to us about how good it is. The environment is beautiful, the people are simple, and the people are easy to get along with." In the end, I only found out that the environment was indeed quite beautiful. It's just that we lived in thatched huts and wooden houses. They were old and crumbling. On the day that it rained, the rain would leak. It was worse than a cave. There was nothing to eat. Nutrient solutions could only be bought from a place more than 10 kilometers away, and the taste was not good. Other than that, we could only go out and find fruits to eat. The fruits there were sour and astringent, and there was no way to eat them. I almost learned to dig up grass roots to eat. Su Yiyin? Hearing this, it was indeed quite miserable. Didn't they give you any tasks or reward you with some food? If not, there must be someone there, right? Can't you use your face to ask someone to take you in? You also said that the people there are simple and easy to get along with. How could they refuse you? Are they stupid? Chapter 954. Ning Chirue was choked by Su Yiyin's words. He was too embarrassed to tell her that he could not let go of the burden of being an idol, so he took the initiative to go to other people's houses to eat and drink. Ahem. The The program team did prepare some tasks, but those tasks were also very, very crazy. Walking on a tightrope in the air without any safety measures, going up to the roof without breaking a hole. In short, they were tiring and dangerous tasks that were not easy to complete. We were going to participate in a variety show, not a circus. In the end, a few of us tried it, but we all gave up because it was too dangerous. We ate fruit and drank inferior nutrient solution for 3 days and 2 nights. When Ning Chirui said this, his whole person was like a flower bud that had been hit by a storm. He was miserable and haggard and could wither at any time. Su Yiyin heard this and frowned. She said to Xia Junxing, "Contact the director of the program team and tell them that Ning Chirui will not go next time if he does not take safety measures. It's fine if nothing happened this time, but if there is a next time, the legal department of East City will definitely hold them accountable." Generally speaking, this kind of rural experiential variety show was not the same as the kind of adventure variety show, and they would not deliberately sign any safety guarantee agreement. However, in Su Yiyin's view, the few tasks that Ning Chirui had just mentioned were no less dangerous than the adventure variety show. Su Yiyin could understand that the program team would make some strange tasks for the artist to complete for the sake of gimmick, but this did not mean that she could accept the program team's blatant joke about the safety of the artists. After explaining to Xia Junxing, Su Yiyin turned to look at Ning Chirui and comforted him. "You did the right thing. No matter what the situation is, the safety of your life should be the first priority. If you encounter this kind of thing in the future, remember to tell your agent and let your agent report it to the company. There will naturally be people in the company who will support you. If not, there is still your brother, right?" When Ning Chirui heard her say this, his nose twitched and he was a little moved. In this world, apart from his family, Su Yiyin was the first person who said that she would support him. Although Ning Chirui was pampered at home, he was not a spoiled brat. Usually, when he encountered something at work, he would handle it on his own. He would only report the good news and not the bad news. This time, the reason why he deliberately brought up this matter in front of Su Yiyin was that he wanted to act pitiful in front of her and pave the way for what he wanted to say later. Who would have thought? While Ning Chirui was feeling touched, he heard Su Yiyin say with disdain, "You're a rich second-generation heir, but you know how to swallow your pride at this time. Where's the arrogance you had when you dared to give me the cold shoulder the moment we met? Could it be that after falling ill, his personality had softened? Don't forget, I spent a lot of effort to save your life. If something were to happen to you now, who would work for me for the next 9 years? Didn't I suffer a huge loss?" Ning Chirui was speechless. Well, he had to swallow back the feeling of being touched just now. Su Yiyin raised his head and frowned. "Why are you still here? Is there anything else?" Was he asking her to leave just like that? The corner of Ning Chirui's mouth twitched slightly and he said shamelessly, "Ahem, my girlfriend's appetite hasn't been very good recently. She wants to eat something delicious that she hasn't eaten before. I saw that the barbecue and beggar's chicken you made for my brother and the others before were pretty good." Su Yiyin was speechless. After all this time and beating around the bush, it turned out that he was thinking about her family's food. Xia Tolman's girlfriend Ning Shi, who was unexpectedly cued, was speechless. "I'm not a real person, but you're a real dog." Chapter 955. Su Yiyin saw through Ning Chirui's thoughts at a glance and remembered Lan Jieya, who came with Yan Xiaoran that day. Lan Jieya's girlfriend and Ning Chirui's girlfriend were best friends. Lan Jieya must have been preoccupied that day. He did not expect to bring his family, like Ling Xiaoqi did with Ning Xiyuan, so he came with his sister-in-law. After he went back, it was said that he ran to his girlfriend to share his amazing discovery and the many delicacies he had eaten at the family hua that day. Thoughts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The result was obvious. A man who ate alone did not deserve to have a girlfriend. Although the two of them didn't break up, domestic violence was inevitable. One ate alone and went back to show off to his girlfriend, and the other used his girlfriend as an excuse for eating. Amen. Although she complained, in order to make up for Ning Chirui's misery of being forced to eat sour fruits on a variety show and not let him follow in Lan Jieya's footsteps, Su Yiyin asked someone to send Ning Chirui some food. However, since your girlfriend wants to eat, bring it back for your girlfriend. Su Yiyin said and gave Ning Chirui a meaningful and evil smile. Miss Ya has worked with our company before. Brother Junxing should have her contact information. The smile on Ning Chirui's face froze instantly. Having contact information meant that she could contact him at any time, which meant that the lie could be exposed at any time. So, after working so hard for so long, in the end it was all for someone else? Someone who had given him some sunshine withered in an instant. But soon he pulled himself together. His wife loved him so much, so she would definitely not eat alone. They could share the food when he brought it back. He was still lucky. Fortunately, Su Yiyan did not know his inner thoughts, or she would have ridiculed him. Men, sometimes they are astute, but sometimes they are terrifyingly naive, conceited. In front of delicious food, what was a boyfriend? Could it be eaten? Su Yiyan asked Xia Junxing to stop for the time being and no longer let people influence the public opinion on the internet. However, the news that Mrs. Ding brought the child back to her parents' house was exposed by other media not long after. Madame Ding's action also caused the righteous passers-by, who were originally wavering and did not know which side to stand on, to instantly switch sides. If you're not having an affair, why would you enter a room with a young and beautiful girl in the middle of the night? If you didn't cheat, why would your wife take the child back to her parents' house in a fit of anger? As it turned out, the more intense the love affair, the more people liked it. The fans, who had been clamoring that Brother Ding doted on his wife so much, would never take a fancy to such a peerless white lotus, were a little confused. They had been arguing on the internet for so long, telling people everywhere about how deeply Ding Juesi loved his wife. In the end, he turned around and angered his wife and son so much that she went back to her parents' home. They couldn't coax her back. Just as Mrs. Ding had said before, although Ding Juesi had entered the entertainment industry early, he only became famous after he married her. On the one hand, Mrs. Ding's family had given him a lot of resources. On the other hand, he had attracted a lot of fans because of his team's hard work and his image as an old cadre. Even if there were some fans of his work, most of them were fans of his work and his wife. Now that his persona had collapsed, those CP fans who only loved his persona felt their hearts turn cold, and they lost a lot of fans. Chapter 956. Ding Juesi's team was extremely anxious when they saw this, especially his manager. When he found out that Mrs. Ding had brought the child back to her parents' house and was determined to divorce Ding Juesi, he was so angry that he almost went into shock on the spot. Is there something wrong with your head? I've reminded you before to pay attention to your image. You're a public figure and a married man. No matter how much you like her, you shouldn't get too close to that woman. You refused to listen and even let someone take photos of the two of you entering the room together. Now everyone thinks that you're having an affair. Even your wife was finally angered back to her parents' house and wants to divorce you. Are you satisfied? The manager circled around Ding Juesi. Didn't you say that the two of you have a good relationship and that she listens to everything you say? Then why are you suddenly getting a divorce? She wants to bring the child back to her parents' house, but you don't know how to coax her. You let her leave just like that and even got photographed. Do you think the current situation isn't chaotic enough? Ding Juesi was scolded by his manager. His face was terrifyingly gloomy, but he did not refute. Ding Juesi's manager scolded for a while and his anger subsided a little. No, this matter can only be resolved with your wife's cooperation. Go and find your wife now. I don't care if you coax her, beg her, or kneel down. You must get her to speak up for you. When the time comes, you can say that because of the incident on the internet, many people are squatting near your house. You're worried that they will hurt your wife and child, so you ask them to temporarily go back to their parents' house to avoid them. There won't be any problems between husband and wife. This way, not only can you solve the current problem, but you can also maintain your image of doting on your wife. Ding Juesi's manager felt that he had thought of a good idea. He looked at Ding Juesi expectantly, hoping that he would do as he said. However, Ding Juesi revealed an awkward expression and did not agree immediately. When the manager saw him like this, his heart could not help but skip a beat. He had an ominous premonition. Is there something important that you haven't told me? Tell me honestly, did your wife really want to divorce you because of this incident? Ding Juesi opened his mouth and hesitated. As if seeing Ding Juesi's hesitation, the manager paced back and forth angrily. It's already time. What else can't you say? Do you really want to kill yourself before you tell me the truth? Ding Juesi had no choice but to briefly explain what he had done all these years. By the way, he could also tell him that his wife already knew about these things, and she probably had evidence on hand. If he chose not to divorce her, she might publicize the evidence in a fit of anger and ruin his reputation. Ding Juesi's manager almost fainted when he heard that. Ding Juesi, hello. Why are you only telling me such an important thing now? He originally thought that Madame Ding had returned to her parents' house in a fit of anger because Ding Juxi had been photographed. If that was the case, it wouldn't be a big problem. After all, Ding Juxi had repeatedly confirmed to him that he did have feelings for Wen Jingping, but he didn't really have sex with her. As long as it wasn't really an affair, he had a way to turn the situation around. But now, before this matter was resolved, a certain someone had exposed a lot of old news for him. It was obvious that Mrs. Ding's plan would not work. The agent gritted his teeth and said, "Now we can only put all the blame on that woman." Ding Juxi was stunned. "What do you mean?" Chapter 957. It was a literal meaning. Now you're not only facing accusations of cheating. If you don't handle this matter well, it's very likely that you as senior will take advantage of a female artist in the industry. If that woman stands up and cries at this time and says that she was forced, your entertainment career will be ruined. Instead of waiting until then, it's better to strike first and gain the upper hand. The manager's so-called strike first and gain the upper hand was actually very simple. It was nothing more than pushing the blame to the woman and hinting that the other party had premeditated seduction. After that, he would logically say that the two of them were in the same room and that the woman had deliberately released false information to hype herself up. After torturing the fans, he would come out to clarify and solidify the fans. He would take the black-red route and then whitewash himself to earn more traffic. At that time, Ding Juxi, who was being used as a tool, would not only be able to whitewash himself, but also gain a wave of sympathy and successfully resolve the crisis. However, what the manager didn't expect was that Ding Juxi, who had been a little numb when he mentioned his wife not long ago, immediately jumped up when he mentioned Wen Jingping as if his Achilles heel had been poked. "No." The manager choked and asked with a dark face, "Why not?" "Anyway, it's just not possible." The manager choked and looked at Ding Juxi suspiciously. He sneered and said, "Don't tell me you've fallen in love with this woman? Even if you have, what are you going to do? Divorce your wife and be with her?" Ding Juxi's face twisted for a moment. He wasn't stupid. Of course, he knew that if he separated from his wife and was with Wen Jingping at this time, he would ruin his future. However, being rational was one thing, and being emotional was something else entirely. Rationality told him that he couldn't do this, but there was a voice in his heart that encouraged him to pursue Wen Jingping. He had to love her and dote on her, but he couldn't hurt her. Just like after his wife brought the child back to her mother's house, Ding Juxi also regretted his impulse and said something like divorce so easily. But more than that, he heaved a sigh of relief. He felt that this was good. This way he could regain his freedom and pursue Wen Jingping openly. When this thought appeared, Ding Juxi himself was shocked, but he couldn't resist the inexplicable temptation. He wanted to slide into the abyss uncontrollably. Ding Juxi's manager saw that he didn't speak for a long time, and his patience was gradually running out. He directly gave an ultimatum. "She can only choose one of you as a star. You choose." The manager thought that if he threatened Ding Juxi with his future, he would definitely choose his career without hesitation. Unexpectedly, Ding Juxi remained silent. In the eyes of the manager, this silence meant that Ding Juxi was willing to give up the reputation and status that he had worked so hard for all these years for a woman. The manager's face darkened completely. He pointed at Ding Juxi and said through gritted teeth, "Good, good, good. Ding Juxi, you're really good. Do you really think that the company and I can't do without you? Fine, since you love her so much and want to protect her so much, then you can die with her. I don't care about this anymore. Don't come looking for me even if you regret it in the future. From today onwards, I'm no longer your manager." After saying that, the manager turned around and left. Ding Juxi stood where he was with a livid face. He looked at the manager's back view and felt that something important was leaving him one after another. He had thought of struggling, but as soon as this thought appeared, it was scattered by something invisible. He calmed down and wanted to search again, but the initial struggle had already disappeared. Chapter 958. Ding Juxi's lack of cooperation not only angered his manager, but also the higher-ups in Hai Entertainment who were in charge of public relations. Instead of finding a way to solve such a big problem together, he was dragging them down. He deserved it. The rumors about Ding Juxi and Wen Jingping on the internet were getting more and more intense. In the end, it reached Do Tianyi again. "This matter hasn't been resolved yet?" Do Tianyi looked at the documents on the table with a dark expression. He usually didn't care about such trivial matters, but he was the one who brought Wen Jingping into the company. And because of her, he registered with Su Yiyan before meeting Su Yiyan. Do Tianyi's attitude towards this woman was really unpredictable. Both of them are artists in our company. It won't look good for our company if we give up either one of them. Liu subconsciously glanced at Do Tianyi. Seeing that he didn't have any special reaction, she continued probing. Wen Jingping has only been in the company for a short time. If we really want to give up on her, she should be the priority. However, the drama she starred in is about to be released soon. Moreover, Ding Jueси doesn't agree. Do Tianyi's eyes turned cold. He instantly grasped the main point. Ding Juesi doesn't agree? Why not? Liu's expression changed slightly. She coughed lightly and said, "It's Ding Juesi himself who doesn't agree. He's interested in Wen Jingping?" Do Tianyi narrowed his eyes and sneered. For Wen Jingping, he doesn't hesitate to put his career on the line. This love is really touching. If I didn't know that he has a wife and a child, I would really think that he's an infatuated person. The corners of Liu's mouth twitched. She secretly thought that her boss's sarcasm was really good. What infatuated? He doesn't know how to love his wife and child. He only cares about his mistress. To put it bluntly, the so-called deep love was nothing more than lust. Because of this, Ding Juesi fell out with his manager. His manager has already applied to not take him in. Since it's a lord who loves beauties and not his kingdom, then I'll grant him his wish. Let the company release a statement to refute the rumors about their relationship. It doesn't matter if the people outside believe it or not, the company's reputation has to be taken care of. As for whether Ding Juesi could make a comeback in the future, they didn't really care. Without Ding Juesi, there were plenty of newcomers in the company to replace him. No one was irreplaceable. When Liu heard Do Tianyi's words, she heaved a sigh of relief. Ding Jueisi's father-in-law was a small shareholder of Hai Entertainment. Although he didn't have many shares, it was still easy for him to control a small artist. Liu had also heard about the dirty things that Ding Jueisi had done. Madame Ding had brought the child back to her parents' house at the cusp of the storm. It was obvious that she had made up her mind to divorce someone. Anyone would be angry after being cuckolded for so many years. If her boss wanted to protect Ding Ju, it would be troublesome in the future. If he gave up now, it would save him a lot of trouble. However, Miss Wen's new drama is about to start airing soon. If there's such a scandal on the eve of the broadcast, the ratings will probably be affected. As soon as Liu finished speaking, Do Tianyi glanced at her and chuckled. How's the filming of their drama? Have you watched it? No, but it should be okay. Should be? I'll go home tonight and try it out. No need. When the ratings are out, estimate the losses and make her pay. What? Liu's expression changed slightly. Make her pay. Make her pay as much as the drama loses. That you're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.